Gather around, freaks. This week we trade the dubs for pigeons. Or do we? We're going to prove that one man can ride a motorcycle so cool that it breaks the laws of physics and logic. Will this be an impossible mission? Gather around the internet watch radio. Gather around the internet spy earbud. Because it's time once again, and it's going to be a big one, for Hey, did you see this one? Hello and welcome to Hey, did you see this one? The weekly roundtable of review reaction podcast where we just have to ask the question, hey, did you see this one? And on this show, we take a movie and we pull it completely apart and we leave no stone unturned. I, as always, am your host.
Why are you doing your CBC2 radio voice? Your classical music radio, yeah.
First
Coming up are the sounds of Symphony in D minor.
Yeah.
As played by a man without fingers.
I'm Jason Possible 2. The sequel. I'm joined as always by my co-host Stephen Boba Blackfly Waters.
That's me.
In this spot for some reason. Can't have it that way.
No, especially my eye line gets all messed up and I'm like, why are my eyes going the wrong
Where
way?
am I looking? Yeah, because you're just always staring at yourself the whole time.
No. I have two monitors and one's over here.
Sure.
Right. I look at who's talking, Jason.
Fair enough.
Not in real life, though. I cannot do that. I can't make eye contact with people. It's uncomfortable.
Just stare at myself the whole time.
Yeah.
But let's see here. We're going to introduce our guests now. Returning to the show for the third time, I believe. Please welcome back to the show the professional wrestler Slam Campbell, Sam Gladstone.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Yes.
He fought a match so hard when he was supposed to be on last time that he had to take a break and couldn't make it on. But he's here and he's here. So also on the show, we have returning for the 9,000th time. Don't make your face like that, Steve. It's Alex Gow. He's back. He's back. He's back. Look at him.
Here he is.
Hi.
Hello.
Alex Gow.
Thank you for that reluctant applause.
The crowd didn't know what to think necessarily.
Also, what was my face doing? I did not even know that I was making a face.
Oh, I thought you frowned at me. I thought you went.
No.
Called resting.
That's just what he looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Resting Steve face.
Oh, wait a second. What's this now? It seems as though somebody's at the door.
Hello, Steve. Oh my God. January.
John Wooery.
John Wooery. Okay.
Oh God! Anybody listening to this is gonna hate us because we're just snickering.
I should have read it. Oh well.
Oh, it's too late now.
Yeah, just watch.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Well, thanks.
We get two
Thanks,
views
Alex.
that way.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
I wonder who that mysterious robotic man is, or woman.
I don't
Are
know.
they them?
But we're gonna find out all about that and more tonight. Listen, I think that we've introduced all of the guests, so I think now it's time to do a bit of a brief synopsis.
Zardoz speaks to you. He demands you synopsize this film. Tell him how, why, who, what occurs in this film.
Wow.
That's right. Did you see that?
I
Hey,
saw
you
that
guys
one.
see that happen?
I realized that I forgot to turn down the ambient sound on that one and
That's
possibly others. So I'll have this all ironed out for next week. This is the beta run.
Yeah.
And
What do you mean ambient sound?
There was just like a from when the mysterious computer man recorded it.
Oh, like the natural sound. I didn't even notice it.
From the other
I thought
video.
you were telling us to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No.
What do you call it ambient sound, asshole?
Do I look like an ambulance? Am I going to come rescue you now? You bleeding out, buddy? Do you need help?
I am bleeding out, actually. So, Alex, would you like to give us the synopsis of Mission? Also, it's episode 214, and we're talking about Mission Impossible 2, because it's John Woo you area. I got a little bit excited and just went right to the
Did you say
thing.
Mission Impossible 2?
Oh,
I hope that doesn't get us a content strike. We're good so far. But yeah, Alex, do you want to hit us with the synopsis of this film, please?
sure. Okay. Well, following Mission Impossible 1, we have Mission Impossible 2. And it starts with like a scientist basically being very cryptic and like mysterious and
Poetic, even.
yeah, very poetic. And then I guess then he's on a plane,
Mm-hmm.
and our hero Ethan Hunt is with him. And
Briefer.
I know I'm going brief, but no, I mean it's synopsis. And then it turns out that it's not Ethan Hunt; it's a bad guy.
Surprise!
Yeah, I know. Okay, but basically, it's about the impossible mission force trying to stop like a disease. Well, you want it brief? That's brief.
That's the briefest you can get. Yeah.
You started doing like the scene for scene summary that we're going to get into in the body episode.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then there's a disease and impossible crew. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's about Ethan Hunt and the lady from Westworld are trying to solve disease.
Solve disease.
So
Yeah,
I want to just get ahead of this because a lot of people know her as Tandy Newton, and she doesn't go by that name anymore. Her name is Thandiwe Newton.
Mm.
All right, so just really important. Second thing, the Scottish guy, it's Dougray Scott. Everybody wants to say Dougray. It's Dougray.
I was calling him
Scottish.
Dougray. I don't know why. I guess because the movie's set in Australia for the most part. It's like Dougray.
Dougray
I've
Scott.
been calling him Didgeridoo.
Dougray Scott. That's not a didgeridoo.
Now this is a didgeridoo right here. Yeah, the movie. Not to to extend it too much, but yeah, the movie is basically about a super virus that the scientist at the beginning has both the cure and the virus itself, and he's transporting it. And the villains only steal the cure, but they want to get the actual virus. And their plan is to auction off the virus as well as the cure. But they didn't realize that they inadvertently destroyed the virus that they had because the man was carrying it within himself, which is kind of a cool thing. But anyway, by the end of the movie, the villains keep getting more villainous and decide that they're going to take over the world. And you're like, instead of just getting money, they're like, no, we want to control everything on planet Earth. And Ethan Hunt has to stop it. And the movie turns real John Woo-ish in the last like 25 minutes. It's like, oh, here we go. Now we're in Woo territory. The rest of it, a little bit. But not too much. You wouldn't know it was John Woo until the dubs show up.
Mean, they're a dead giveaway, yes, but there's some pretty John Woo-y things that happen early on, like weird slow-mo parts where you're like, why are these two in slow-mo, but everybody else is not? And
like a couple of shots where like the camera will slow or quick pan in onto Ethan Hunt's face as he looks into camera, and then there's a reflection of what he's looking at perfectly in the glass. I'm like, okay, this is a John Woo thing right here. Yeah, things that you'll never see in any other Mission Impossible movie happen.
Yeah.
It's all John Woo. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, this is I like the Mission Impossible franchise. I really do. I think they're fun. All right, they're not all.
Sam, hold that thought, because this is perfect lead into our brief histories.
A brief history.
I have questions about these transitions, but I do like them. By the way, I will add.
What are your questions? Is this an off-air thing?
You know, we could. It doesn't matter because it'll just end up us talking about
We
it.
can
don't
address
know.
them on air.
I just want to know how the fuck you guys did. Alex, you film these? I assume.
Alex has
Yeah,
been sending me these videos for a week,
Oh,
and I've been doing stuff with them. So
they're cool. I like them.
Yeah, I have an old, super old, sharp, futuristic TV from the 70s, and I found a way to hook them up my computer to it, basically.
Alex, you're so talented.
yeah.
We
Well,
get it.
talented.
I know.
But yeah, Sam, go ahead with what you were saying. Also, your brief history with this film, and since it's John Woo month, give us your history with John Woo himself.
Okay, so with this film specifically, this was the first Mission Impossible movie I was allowed to see. I saw it while I lived in the Middle East because I lived there when I was a teenager, and I didn't fucking get it. I was just like, it's a cool action movie, but I watched it like maybe twice, and I was like, that's good enough. I never need to see this again. And it wasn't until years later, my friends were like, we got to make you watch the other Mission Impossible movies. And I did. And I went, holy shit, what was that crap I watched? Because these are great. These are awesome. And that's how I feel about most of the Mission Impossible movies. They're like really good, fun action thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
Like well plotted, great execution, fun and unique kind of locations and things happening and cool spy shit where you're just like, oh, how is Tom Cruise going to off himself in this movie? Oh, wow, he straps himself to a nuke and has to stop it with his toes or something. Oh, it's real nuke. But number two is like the redheaded stepchild of the whole franchise because it's so different. It's so John Woo, and it's very mired in the 2001 of it all. Like, this is a very 2001 movie. It's so cool. It's trying so hard to be cool. Guys, it's cool.
It felt like we were on the cusp
millennium
of 9/11.
Yeah.
Like, no, because everything took such a serious tone
Shift,
immediately after, right?
Yeah.
It's like
You're
the
right,
music at that time was the same thing. Like everything was just like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like
And
every song should have just been called "Fuck Yeah."
Yeah.
Everything about this movie is like like SNL, like Tropic Thunder and SNL and all those things that make fun of sort of the epicness of movies is like completely embodied in this movie in an earnest way. Like, it's like,
this is just how it was.
Yeah.
For the kids out there, this is just what it was.
This is a 2-hour MTV music video.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's
right.
accurate.
It's so like you could see TLC if you just move the camera over slightly. Oh, they're filming No Scrubs. Great. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, this movie is it's so of its time. Cool. Just cool. I'm trying to be cool, man. And it kind of sucks because it's trying so hard.
But sometimes when someone's trying to be cool, they do sometimes do a little bit of cool shit where you're like, hey, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that part was okay. You're cool.
For sure. But the rest of it is just like, it's that kid in high school where you're just like, dude, stop. No. Oh, no, you're trying too hard.
It's like, why are you wearing cargo shirts with a leather jacket on?
Why do you have bleach blonde tips still?
All right.
Anyway, go on.
I can go next if you guys want.
Sure.
My first time watching this movie, I saw it in theater, and I think I was on a date with a girl. Ew! I don't remember if that's true or not, but
Can you imagine seeing this movie on a date when you're like 13?
Yeah, I was also like, dating when you're that young is like you're just going to a movie with a girl, and it's like,
is she related to you or something? Like,
no, it was my friend Latrice, and I'm pretty sure, and we were in like, it was like the early 7th grade or something, still quite young. Anyway, I remember being like, I don't think I had even seen the first one at that point, so I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I'm like, so I remember being tricked by the tricks of this movie because I was a stupid child.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've actually seen it again since then. I must have in some capacity observed this movie a second time in between yesterday and then, but it's been so long. But there are moments in this movie that are like burned into my mind where I'm like, oh, I know what's going to happen here. I remember this from like 25.
Alexa, turn on the office light.
Jesus, Alex is going to nuke me. He's releasing the Chimera virus into all of our ventilation systems. And I remember liking it, but also like not liking it enough, obviously, to ever watch it again. Yeah. The Mission Impossible franchise as a whole is something that I don't dislike, but I don't love either. It's something that like I'm like, I'll watch this for sure, but I'm never going out of my way to make my way to the theater. I did see the third one in theaters, but I don't think I've seen any other Mission Impossible in theaters since the second and third one. But also to what you were saying, how it feels so much like a John Woo movie. There was a time, this is probably director talk, but yeah, I'll save this for director talk anyway. But I've seen all of them, I think, except for the most recent one. And, I'm not going to stop watching them. I think they're great. But the last like 4 or 5 of them, they all blend together as one movie in my mind. I could not tell you which thing happens in which movie and be able to differentiate them between each other. So, yeah. Anyway, it's not like James Bond where they have such a clean cut identity. They're sort of the samey, where they have the same vibe to them. There's not like a crazy villain that really sort of lets you know which one you're watching. Outside of this one and the second one and the first one.
Mm-hmm. Well, fantastic. How about you, Alex?
Well, I think that Mission Impossible is my favorite action franchise. I love Mission Impossible. I think that you get what you come for, and you're like, it's like, what is Tom Cruise what stupid thing is he going to do? And you like wait for it and you see it and you're like, oh, that's probably the one or whatever. There's just cool moments like that. And then there's just like fun Mission Impossible antics that trick young Steve.
Yep.
Like with the mask and stuff.
Trick the shit out of me.
I don't know if I've seen this movie in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The thing is, but I honestly, I feel like, it's so weird. It's so totally different. But I don't know how much you want to get into that yet. But it's like, yeah, it's definitely the black sheep of the franchise for sure.
What about John Woo in general? Like, do you have like a?
I don't. I honestly, I think I'm looking at John Woo movies. I think the only other John Woo movie I've seen other than this is like Paycheck, maybe.
Which yeah, there's a lot of like Western movies that he's done.
I know, but I've never seen Face Off.
Right.
I've probably seen Hard Target, but I was probably so young that I don't. But yeah, I haven't really seen a lot of his stuff. So.
Well, I think we're going to be maybe bringing this back this because I do like John Woo movies, especially when you like go in knowing it's a John Woo movie and you're looking for the John Woo isms that exist within them. It's a lot of fun. We've done what 3 now in total on the pod, and he always has birds. There's birds in every. It's like a staple now. Like I guess he just loves birds. Yeah.
Are you done, Alex?
I think so. Yeah. I like Mission Impossible. I don't remember much about this movie at all, and frankly, it's a miracle that they ever made a third one after this. I would say.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting you say that, because when I was a kid, just let me start at the beginning. I watched Mission Impossible 1 in preparation for this podcast just because I wanted to see the difference between the first one and the second one. The first one I have seen a bunch of times when it came out in 1996. I remember being at a friend's place. It was my mom had a boyfriend and he put this movie on the TV, but I had discovered Simpatico chat rooms. I was on Simpatico chat rooms and I was trying to chat with some people. I was like 13, so
where are we going
definitely predator. Well, I'm not going I'm not going that way. He kept
Jason became this guy, and he had his van.
Yeah. No, the boyfriend kept being like, you can't keep looking over at the TV. Either you're on the computer or you're watching the television. So I hate that guy. Anyway, the reason I brought this up is because,
imagine I told you that every week when you're watching the movies. I'm like, Jason, get off your computer and watch the TV.
Weird. That's weird. Weird. Did you date
You're not
my mom?
dad.
So I've seen that movie a bunch of times. It's stuck in my head. There's the very distinct moment where he comes down into the room with the laser beams, and then the big action sequence at the end with the helicopter and the train. Pretty good action thing. This movie I did see at some point because I remember the motorcycle stuff at the end, but it didn't stick with me the same way, and I don't think it stuck with people the same way as the first one did. It wasn't, that action sequence where he comes down into that room with the lasers, like that was lampooned in media at the time a lot in a lot of ways, similar to like
it's still lampooned to this day.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was one of those,
even like this message will self-destruct. That was also like culturally huge.
Yeah,
but that had been culturally huge since the 60s. It's like the original show really helped.
Inspector Gadget, anyone? Sure. The weekly gag in Inspector Gadget where the guy keeps getting blown up by his own message.
Yeah,
exactly. Or whatever.
But I rewatched it yesterday and had a good time with it. It's pretty over the top. It's very John Woo. But what I will say is last week.
Did you just say John Moo? I like if you did.
Welcome to the Marvel universe where everybody's an animal. And we're on the set of the new John Moo film.
Yeah.
He's a snake.
John Moo's Wishing Impossible.
He's like, more doves.
You got Moo flipping around, wicked witch.
No, you can't use doves because those are people too in this universe.
Yeah, they're actors. Yeah. They're getting paid to be there.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
If you're
that's like saying Tom Cruise can't be in this movie because he's a person.
If you're watching this, I did call the episode, "Hey, did Woo see this one?" So shout out to me coming up with that. But last week I was like, "Oh, these are all sister films." Basically, only have seen Hard Boiled and his first movie, The Young Dragons. This movie, not a sister movie. Immediately, the next one we watch, I don't count this. It has the trappings of a John Woo based on what I know from those two movies, but this is like it feels like he was trying to do his John Woo stuff, and the studio was like, "You gotta tone it down." He was like, "No, I'm gonna fit in wherever I can." If you take all the slow-mo out of this movie, the movie is like 62 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then it has no soul.
That's true. That's true. But he does use snap zoom when it is absolute. He snap zooms on a gun at one point, and I was like, "That's fun. That's fun."
Like when it falls in the sand? Like
yeah.
I guarantee you that was a studio note where they're like, "Well, where'd this gun come from in the sand?" Because he kicks the gun at the end into the it's like there was probably some morons watching it that like could not.
I'll zoom in on it.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that
the sand blowing away from the gun while it shows the waves crashing was also very like John Woo too. Like
yeah. There's John Woo all over this movie. It's a John Woo movie, guys.
It's a John Woo-vie. Let's go into some production talk and talk about the John Woo of it all.
Okay.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit. Sound. Speed. Action!
So
this is wild because I regularly listen to the podcast, but I'm one of those ADD fucks who has to do it on time and a half. So hearing everything at regular time is fucking me up.
That's funny.
Right now, it's like, all right, get to the point. All right, let's go. Let's get this.
I watched a lot of NXT on 1.5 speed, and now that I'm watching it regularly, all the themes are like regular speed, and they don't sound right to me.
Yeah.
That's like me and Alex for the Ghostbusters theme song.
Yeah. I thought you said MXC. I thought you were talking about Motion Screen Elimination Channel at 1.5 speed. I was like, whoa!
There's
I'm like,
new episodes coming.
Right, you are. Ken.
I don't know if I could survive MXC at 1.5 speed.
Bobby Ganoush.
Yeah. Guy Ledouche.
It's Guy Ledouche.
Get it on.
So, at the top of this segment, I will say that the production budget was between 120 mil, 125 mil. Its domestic gross was 215 mil. So no sequel. That's the end. We're done.
Yeah.
That's not true.
No.
The movie
Barry
obviously
did not pay them for this movie. I looked it up.
They didn't what?
That was they didn't pay. They didn't pay to be like none of the budget came from them. Like there was featured very prominently the necklace.
Oh right.
So I wanted. I'm like, did they pay for this? Like it seemed like it was like a product placement, but apparently it wasn't.
Yeah, you'd think that anyone would want to have product placement in this franchise because I think Tom Cruise was sort of at like the beginnings of the height
I'll
of the
tell
power
you,
at this point,
I wonder if his Oakleys that were flying around in here, I wonder if they paid at all. They're probably like, God, I've seen what you've done for Ray-Ban.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
I mean, it did because Oakleys were massive for a long time too.
Like Blade wore them.
I don't know, but is that all because of Tom Cruise? Because
I don't know. I think it was
saved Ray-Ban. Ray-Ban said they were almost out of business.
Well, the Blues Brothers, probably Blues Brothers 2000, which came out this year as well.
Oh yeah, that masterpiece.
But and then he said that risky bit when Tom Cruise wore them and wore the Ray-Ban aviators in Risky Business. They said it was like the biggest jump in sales they've ever had, and basically saved.
It's always funny when you hear those types of stories where like something is on the cusp of bankruptcy, so the movie's able to get them in there for cheap or whatever, and it's like it ends up saving it.
Yeah. So I wonder if Oakley was trying to do the same thing.
Old Mr. Oakley was like, my sunglasses aren't doing too well.
As he kick flips his way through the boardroom.
Yeah.
Radical dudes.
The score was composed by Hans Zimmer, which is great. And the theme song was, of course, Limp Bizkit, because it was the style at the time. Take a Look Around by Limp Bizkit, I believe, is off of Hot Dog Water and the Chocolate Starfish album. Great song. And the movie starts out with that song, and I messaged Steve, and I was like, is this going to be like Limp Bizkit, the movie? And you were like, no.
No, what you said was, is this going to be my favorite movie ever? And I simply wrote back, no. No.
Actually, yeah. And then I tried to guess what the plot was, and you did the Frank from Always Sunny.
No, it was like I couldn't tell if you were misunderstanding the movie or if you hadn't gotten far enough into the movie yet. So I was like, I'm just not going to say anything. So I just kept putting like the no. You're wrong. There are some kind of interesting facts about this movie that I was digging through while doing some reading today, and like one of them is Tom Cruise regretted the fact that they had killed off Emilio Estevez's character in the first movie, and
by stabbing him through the head.
Yeah.
They did
it like right away too.
Yeah.
So he and John Woo, they were like feverishly working for months to try and figure out a way to bring that character back.
It was a mask
because they just wanted it. I mean, they probably, they absolutely probably had that as a thing.
Yeah.
But they couldn't figure out a way to do it that made sense, that was also satisfying. So they just abandoned it. But I'm like trying to think of like
what this movie.
Yeah, like what would be the purpose of that? And I bet you they were trying to make it so that he would be the villain, right? Like that would be some sort of like big reveal, which would have been a pretty huge reveal.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cohesive too.
I mean, the Dougray Scott character is very like, 006 to 007 in that way, right? Like, he's also spy, and he's just like him, and he's evil.
Yeah. When we get more into it, I have definite thoughts on that. But
yeah, he's so much like him that he plays him when he can't play himself. That's like they need him, like, which is I kind of like, but at the same time, their mannerisms are so different. I'm pretty sure that Dougray is like 3 feet taller than Tom Cruise. But, when he takes the mask off, he's also like gross.
Not canonically, though.
I know, but
he has to stand on an apple box every time he plays the character. Every time he has the mask on.
There's like a bunch of stuff during the making of this, but I couldn't find any good like John Woo stuff outside of the fact that he did work pretty closely with Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise loves this franchise just as much as anybody, if not more. He's been doing it for 30 years now.
I have a question about that, if you guys know. So famously, Tom Cruise does his own stunts on these movies.
Does he?
Does he really?
Yeah. To what end?
There's no fucking way Tom Cruise does his own stunts.
That's his whole
that
thing
was
with
Tom
these
Cruise
movies.
hanging off a plane?
Tom Cruise will do like the big stunts that they really need to do.
Okay.
No, I'm being
think
facetious.
he's doing the motorcycle.
I thought so. I was like,
obviously, he talks about it constantly all the fucking time.
We were being facetious. Yes.
I was naive there for a moment.
We were feigning ignorance for comedic value.
Yeah.
What is comedy?
And you know what? I think it landed.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise did all of that stuff, much to the chagrin of the studio. All that
and
stuff
the stuntmen
at the beginning
of
the movie.
Jobs.
Yeah, at the beginning of the movie, he did all that stuff. I think it's like Utah, what's it called, Dead Horse Point State Park. Yeah, is where he did all that shit himself without like a safety net or anything. But he did have like a harness on and like a very thin wire, so that they had to like
lies.
Yeah,
the movie's full of lies.
What I'm saying is he wasn't actually up there with no safety, because that would be no studio would sign off.
Or he's
on
just
that.
like holding on with one arm.
But you also you hear stories all the time from other people. Like there's a great Matt Damon interview where he's talking about how he was working with Tom Cruise, and he was like, "So tell me about the Mission Impossible stunts and stuff," because Matt Damon is like famously sort of like he just hates doing his own stunts. He's like, I will never do my own stunts if I don't have to. Yeah. Whereas Tom Cruise is the complete opposite. And it's the one where he's like running on the outside of the building. And Tom Cruise is like, I've been trying to get this made for 15 years. And, so I asked my safety guy and he says, no, there's no way we can do that. So I fire the safety guy. I get a new safety guy. And it's like all this sort of back and forth where he's just trying so hard to be able to do all of it himself. Yeah. Which is admirable in a way, but also makes me just think that Tom Cruise is like a crazy person who's addicted to adrenaline, right?
You asked Steve or Jason, you asked to what end, and I think the fact that everybody knows that he does the stunts. I think it sells, probably puts a lot of butts in seats.
Yeah, knowing that it's a thing where you're like, no,
because it is even as people. Even people who don't watch it, like my wife has never watched any of them, and she knows that he does all the stunts and whatever.
What about like the sequence where they go over each other on the motorcycles and all like the motorcycle flipping? Was that just like
that one? I really don't think, just because motorcycle stuff is so technically specific, right? It's the same thing with like driving cars.
It's not like focused on him anyway. Like it's not like
because there is
a big moment where it's like he's hanging and then it's just basically him.
There's one stunt where he like goes over a jump and the way that the motorcycle comes down looks like it was clearly on like a machine that brought it down. So that one, obviously he was sitting on the motorcycle, but there were some during that whole motorcycle sequence, I was like, these have to be like actual motorcycle drivers doing these sequences. But that said, like all the climbing stuff, I believe he did that. The thing on the outside of the building,
he literally did it.
The parachute thing might have been done on a soundstage, but it looked pretty good. I don't know
which parachute. What?
He jumps out of the window of the building after he blows.
That was
the parachute.
He was when he does like a random flip in the middle of it for no reason. You're like, okay, John Woo, John Woo.
Yeah. Where he does the side.
He literally went woo.
It's fun. And John Woo's just like.
My thoughts on the whole Tom Cruise stunt thing is that it's because he's in Scientology and he's desperate for a way out, and he's just going like, well, maybe this is the movie that kills me. Maybe this is the movie that frees me from my prison.
But now there's 9 of them.
Like it feels a little masturbatory, but at the same time, it's like it is kind of cool. Where you're like, oh, it is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah.
As much as you're like, Tom Cruise is a crazy person, and I never want him to touch me. At the same time, you're like, but you make some really cool movies.
Yeah. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind sitting on a couch and talking to him, even though he would probably be yelling at you most of the time about stuff.
So apparently, I hear this from a lot of people, is that Tom Cruise is incredibly fascinated with people to the point of if he meets you once, he will remember you for the rest of your life. He knows every detail so like if you came back and he'd be like, oh, Steven, we haven't seen each other in 15 years. How's the giant mole on your back? And you go, well, I got it removed.
I don't even remember telling you about that. You did. Also,
I know everything. I'm Tom Cruise.
He starts jumping up and down on a couch
he
about
uses
it.
people's names back to them a lot, like just incorporates people's names. Apparently, he is like frighteningly magnetic in person.
Which is, again, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's probably why he's
the why his data levels are so high.
Yeah,
I mean, it's great that he didn't go into politics. Can you imagine that power?
It's also why he's not scared of dying, because he knows that Zordon or whatever will take him back to heaven.
Yeah, he'll be fine. It's a teenager with that. He'll be good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's paid too much. He has paid too much to Scientology to die.
But the question is, which color Power Ranger is he then? And what's his animal thing?
White Ranger for sure.
Yeah, he would want to be the White Ranger, or he'd kill his way up to it.
Kill his way to White Ranger.
I think. Oh, the other stunt thing in this movie that I did boil down was the knife part at the end with the knife in the eye. That was a real knife. Tom Cruise demanded real knife, and they had it hooked up to like a winch that was like carefully measured so that while his head was down, it would just stop right there. And he wanted it to, and I'm like, what the fuck? Just like reverse the shot or something, you maniac. And then he wanted the tether to be strong enough so that the actor with the knife could push down with all of their might and not, to make it look real. And I'm like, no one would notice if he wasn't straining his palms.
I can't. Eye stuff messes me up in horror and anything really. And the fact that it was like grazing his eyelashes, I was like, this is a moment where I have to stare at it to desensitize myself to it.
It's moments like that though, where like I read that and I'm like, why though? Why? And I'm like, imagine a world where
Tom to die.
But imagine a world where that safety cable for whatever reason snapped or got a little bit too much slack.
Whatever it's attached to, like bend or has any give.
Exactly. The guy's putting all his weight into it and all his
strength. Tom Cruise sized watermelon under there and like test it for a while or something.
Probably, yeah. But it's like that would be the craziest thing to be like Tom Cruise dies after getting stabbed in the eye on the set of Mission Impossible. Or just gets one of his eyes
goused out and then he could still do Valkyrie, I guess, but other than that, I don't know.
Well, it's hard to do Valkyrie with a lobotomy. No,
I was just saying maybe it costs him the eye, but I guess if it fully breaks, then you're just stabbing Tom Cruise in the brain.
Yeah.
That's why they had the Mongo on set tested out.
Oh man. All right. I don't think I have any. I mean, there's a couple of other weird stories that I'm like, this is interesting, I guess, but like it's not funny.
Jesus, are we still in production talk?
We are. Yeah, we should probably move on.
I thought we were at the end of the movie.
Nope, we haven't even started.
No, we're going to be here for a minute for this one too, because there's a lot to cover. But let's go into the body of the episode.
Ho, 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 ho! Everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
Wow.
So this is a movie about a man who is basically like if James Bond wore a leather jacket all the time.
But he doesn't wear a leather jacket at all in this movie. He only wears it at the end when he's disguised as the villain who dresses like a fucking Matrix character. Or
That's true, but he embodies a leather jacket, I think.
He's a human leather jacket.
Yeah. So the first movie, he had short hair. He was much more like fist.
I have to say though, like I like the fact that they're like, how do we get him into like a full leather costume at the end to make it look like the Matrix? And it's like, well, he just has to dress up as another douchebag. It's like, okay, yeah, true.
I have a note here that says, I miss M1 hair. His hair was so perfect.
It was so good.
Yeah, he's
and then I wrote, he obviously looks great here, but Ethan Hunt, Mission Impossible 1 hair was so good.
I agree.
His hairstyle in this movie is the hairstyle I wanted my whole life. I've always wanted that.
Well, just do it, Jason.
I cannot.
Just do it. Get a wig. What are you doing now? I'm bald now, Jason.
That dove has flown.
I'm getting there.
That dove is flown.
Room I walk in.
Dun,
but
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, that theme, the Limp Bizkit version is just playing all the time when I go from place to place. Maybe we'll use that for my entrance theme this next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa. It's just one of those days.
But the film kicks off with IMF agent Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, of course, free climbing a massive cliff in Utah as part of a daring introductory stunt. That's okay. Once he reaches the summit, he receives a mission briefing via specialized sunglasses.
What? You skipped the whole intro with the doctor.
The science dude at the beginning who's all like, "Oh,
there's a whole scene
And
on
the
the plane.
plane. All the stuff before that.
Let me refer to my actual notes.
You have to think that, oh, wait, Ethan Hunt has done a bad guy thing.
Or are we doing like a joke, or are we doing it in the wrong order?
I was
This is the Tarantino cut of the episode.
Yeah.
Jason, did you do a chat GPT?
Here, let me just take
and then after he climbs the rock, he says, "Hey, you're probably wondering how I got here."
Yeah, there's a record scratch. Okay, the movie opens with a scientist in a laboratory in Sydney, Australia, and he is working on something that is very secretive, obviously, but also very dangerous and scary. You can tell because he's speaking in a voice of the man who knows he's going to die soon, unless he can get to his destination within 20 hours of leaving. He injects himself with a virus.
Borg lighting as well, like everything's all like
yes, it's TNG like style lighting.
Yeah, watch out, the Borg are here.
You know he's in a spooky Resident Evil style lab because there's lots of robotic arms and he has to like put his hands in those glove wall things.
Why would work on a virus in such? It's like so like dark.
Well, this man, I mean, I assume lighting will probably affect the virus in some negative way. Who knows and who gives a shit?
He's light sensitive.
Yeah. So he puts his hands into the gloves and then he grabs the injector guns. There's like a bunch of them. And then he injects himself with the virus. We learn later that the reason he did this was that he needed to transport the virus, but he knew if he had the raw virus and the raw antidote, it could be stolen. But if he has it in himself, then he's also sort of more valuable to be left alive. But nobody else knew this fact, apparently. We cut to him on a plane. He's talking to his friend Dimitri, who we learn later is the code name that Ethan used when he became friends with him, which is why Ethan is on the plane with him. This is when I shook my head, Jason, because you were like, they're trying to frame Ethan. And I'm like, no. Ethan had to be there.
That's because the first movie is basically a huge frame up, and the second movie was like, oh, more frame up.
I know, but the reason I was shaking my head is that they're not framing him. He's literally the only person that this man would trust to be with him, and he calls him Dimitri over and over again. You get this sense of familiarity, and then something goes wrong in the plane. All of the gas masks come down, or the oxygen masks come down, and you already know something's up because Ethan's like, "I'll go see what's going on. Just make sure you breathe from your gas mask. Just make sure you do that." And then you start to see all the terrorists get up from their seats and put on parachutes. And then Ethan Hunt kills the doctor, takes his briefcase, which contains what we assume, or not we, because we know that he injected himself with it, but they assume has the virus as well as the antidote inside of it. And they're like, "We're going to be rich, boys." And they jump out. Actually, first, he removes his Mission Impossible mask, which we all love. We love the masks.
We love the mask. This movie is so mask heavy. It's mask for mask.
So I can't remember actually. The first movie, did it have the throat things in it, or is that just this movie?
No, the throat things are from this, which I thought was cool. And the first movie has technology that, like, they predicted 30 years later. This movie is just like bananas. But the thing in the first movie that was crazy is Tom Cruise puts on a mask to like infiltrate a place, but it's just him wearing a mask. This movie uses
I thought it did have the voice thing in one. Am I
Maybe
misremembering that?
I haven't seen the first one in so long either that I couldn't remember if this was.
They never separated them. Like, I think it was like a boom boom. Like they never did. I don't think they ever did like the gag that they did at the beginning of this.
Yeah,
one
the reason I ask is because at the beginning when he does take off the mask, he starts talking and then he's still using the voice that the mask has. And then it does a very clear like close up of it being removed. And I'm like, this seems like they're adding this.
I think it had both. But yeah, they never did they never had Tom Cruise without a mask
talking like someone else.
Now the question is, does the voice thing also do his accent, or did he just halfway through a sentence go like, "Hi there, I'm Tom Cruise. I'm actually Dougray Scott."
Yeah,
Whoopsie doodle.
I also made that note. I said, would it really affect his accent, or like, is he just
it changes the way your whole, because I assumed it shoots electricity into your vocal cords to change the shape of them to emulate the sound, right? But you still have to do the accent.
Impression of the other person,
which would be hilarious if somebody was like doing a really shitty Scottish accent or something, like while they have the perfect
Tom Cruise doing it.
Yeah, Tom Cruise being, hello, I'm Tom Cruise. Cruise.
I wrote his voice should sound like Tom Cruise doing that thick accent.
It was interesting.
You keep calling me Dimitri. You really shouldn't.
If they didn't jam pack this movie with Mask, this is after Face Off too. So I feel like John Woo was like, "What if we do Face Off again?" Which there is a Face Off part in this,
but easier.
Well, I mean, I guarantee you there was probably a version of this because like John Woo didn't write this script, but he did have a lot of changes that he added to it. But I guarantee you that the reason that he got this movie was probably heavily because of Face Off, where they're like, well, he did so good with the other movie with people ripping their faces off, like let's put him in this thing. Like 10 times people ripping their faces off in this. To the point that like there's a point where the movie lost me on this recent watch where I'm like, now I just assume that everyone's wearing a mask at all times. Like and every time there's anything happening of any sort of remote import, I'm like, and then they rip off the mask, and then Danny's like, imagine the mask got ripped off, and it was Michael Clark Duncan. I'm like, Michael Clark Duncan's not in this, and then Danny's like, yeah, but imagine it was.
Tom Cruise gets his face cut pretty brutally at the end, but then as the movie goes on towards the end of the movie, the scar, like the cut gets less and less, and I'm like, is he wearing a Tom Cruise mask on top of his Tom Cruise face?
Which no, that was just because it doesn't look as attractive when you have a big gash on your face, so they just smeared the makeup to be less visually gross.
He's a very handsome man.
I think the subsequent movies in the series really learned from this one, because in this film it seems like drop of a hat, you can just have a mask if you want one. Mm-hmm. Like it's ready, it's available. But future iterations of this film will actually have scenes of them like preparing the mask and like oh shit, that thing's going wrong, or
I think
having to kidnap the guy in order to be like with Philip Seymour Hoffman, they're like, you read these words so that we can copy your voice and copy your face and shit. Whereas this movie is just like, no, check your back pocket.
I think in the first one they always had like the mask in like a briefcase, and they had to like take it out, and it was like a thing.
Yeah, this is only mask reveal.
Yeah. I mean, my assumption being is like he brought some with him that because also unless you're like a master sculptor or something, right? Like it's like how are you getting this? But he probably was like, well, this is his second in command, so I'll make a mask of him and his second in command, and I'll bring them both with me. Like that's where my brain is like doing the work for the movie, which I really shouldn't have to do.
In the first one too,
did he have like an extra mask of Thandiwe? Newton's face as well. Yes, it's definitely me, your girlfriend.
Yeah. You want a smooch or something?
That would have been a funny reveal. In the first one too, though, the mask seems to be applied more like movie makeup, because he like rips it off, and in this one it like turns into like a weird CGI thing.
Yeah.
I think that's just because they didn't want to have
unequipping it.
Yeah, I think the technology got caught up enough that they're like, we don't need to have that rubber mask rip off, which means we don't have to sit somebody in a makeup chair for 3 hours to make it look believable. And I mean, it's not that bad. Like the CGI mask removal is not that bad in this movie, considering it's the year 2000 and like, Jar Jar Binks was a year before, and you're like, wow.
Well, it's clear that the CG budget went to the masks, because whenever you see an airplane in this movie, it's always like, wow, that's an N64 graphic.
Yeah. Especially the plane in the intro was something.
Woof.
Yeah. So that plane crashes, and then we go to the.
As corny as that intro is, it does feel like a James Bond intro, like a cold open, and I'm here for it, because like Mission Impossible is, the Western world's equivalent to James Bond, right? Like Ethan Hunt is meant to be like our Felix Leiter or whatever. Like imagine Felix Leiter's missions. What are they like?
But if he was cool.
But if he was way cooler, because Felix Leiter is kind of always like the guy who's like not as cool as James Bond. He's still cool, but not nearly as cool. Whereas
I'm also here from the CIA.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the
but
next
Ethan Hunt is on vacation.
Jack Wade.
Yeah. In Dead Horse Point State Park in Utah. A cowboy. He's a cowboy. And you know what cowboys do? They climb with no ropes like psychopaths.
Yeah.
I was stressed.
Fun fact, he injured himself horribly multiple times shooting this. Which, no fucking shit, man. I like Tom Cruise, not a rock climber, has almost no experience with it, trained for a little bit to film this, and then it's like you think you're not going to injure yourself, you madman. He like shunted his fingers, he dislocated his shoulders.
You can just hire a floppy-haired rock climber for much cheaper.
Yeah, especially the haircut he has in this movie. You can easily hide his face for the majority of this, but
but
authenticity, folks. Yeah, he wants to see Zordon.
They were playing weird music during this.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I'm like, there's no way. I thought he was listening to the music at first.
That's what I thought too. Yeah,
but I wrote, I'm like, there's no way in hell Ethan Hunt would listen to this while rock.
No, they're playing. I go one day.
I was wondering if it was like
hey now,
where they couldn't have it on this station with that song, so they had to replace it. But I was watching it on Crave. I don't know where you guys were watching it.
Crave. I watched on Crave. Yeah,
I watched it on Amazon. I thought the Mission Impossible music played at this part, like the Limp Bizkit.
It plays when he throws the sunglasses, but it doesn't play while he's climbing.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I was watching.
I literally just sang the song that's playing. You don't remember that?
I don't.
The dulcet tones.
He gets to the top, and the helicopter rolls up. I was like, oh fuck, is he gonna have to fight a helicopter? But the helicopter shoots like this rocket thing, and he reacts to it like a rocket is coming. But
he knows
inside the rocket is a pair of Oakleys that gives him the mission. And they're like, this little mission will self-destruct, and he throws them. And then
that old man Oakley, when he was in the theaters watching, he starts sweating. He's like, "Oh, I hope to God this helps. I hope to God."
Yeah.
No, Oakley was really buoyed by Spider-Man because they used Oakley lenses for the Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the movie that really helped with it.
But I think that came out the next year, though.
The next year, yeah.
Well, then Oakley was on a goddamn roll with product
placement. Yeah. Telling you.
But the thing that's great here too is we get the full like Mission Impossible like TV show style breakdown of what he's supposed to do, but it's essentially just the part where he goes to get the girl, and it's like your mission is to get the girl, and then your mission will start after that. Then you'll meet
your mission,
Sir Anthony
should you
Hopkins.
Choose to accept it, is to go find a lady and recruit her.
Do not bang her.
Yeah, whatever you do, do not kiss, bang, bang. If you know what I mean.
Woo woo woo.
It's funny, like Anthony Hopkins not credited in this movie at all.
Really?
Like, yeah, he's not
or
in
needed.
Or needed, yeah. Also, they asked Ian McKellen to be the mission commander, because I think so. I didn't mention this during the director talk, but I should have. This whole franchise was meant to be almost like a James Bond thing where everything was going to have a clear identity. And one of the things they wanted to do was to have sort of a semi-auteuristic director direct each one so that they would have a clear identity, which they did for the first three, right? They had the first one felt like its own sort of unique vibe. This one had a completely different identity, and the third one did as well. And then after that, they're like, no, we need to maybe have a cohesive sort of vibe to these things to have an actual longevity to it.
Like a better, more like involved.
Absolutely.
But the first one's Brian De Palma, and it's very Brian De Palma. It's very gritty.
Very split screen.
So their whole thing was like, well, we'll get John Woo to do this one, it'll be a John Woo movie, and then we'll get J.J. Abrams to do this one, it'll be a J.J. Abrams movie, and then the next one will, and then they abandoned that because they're like, it's not working. People are not here for that as a vibe, right? And I kind of like, there's a part of me
to do the next one.
I kind of wish that they like. Wait, didn't I make that joke last week?
You made that joke last week, and as I was saying it, I realized. So I apologize.
Yeah,
credit to Steven on that one.
And people weren't there for it, but fuck, I can't remember I think that their other idea was to have the mission commander be sort of like an affluent actor who would come in, and each movie would have a different quest giver, basically. Like we'll get a wizard, Anthony Hopkins, to do this one, then we'll get another wizard, Ian McKellen, to do this one, and then we'll get another wizard.
Like how they do Q.
Like Ben Kingsley shows up or something. They get Sean Connery. They're all there to give the quests, and I think that would have been cool. But at the same time, who gives a shit, right? Does he even have a quest giver after a certain point? I don't even know. Like, does he have
doesn't Alec Baldwin kind of?
Yeah, like Alec Baldwin becomes one. I think Angela Bassett, I think, is a version later. There's so many, like, holy shit, famous person in this movie series as it goes on.
Just to be the, like, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is...
Yes. Yeah.
Do all your own stunts. And Tom Cruise was like, done! Done! I'll take that mission.
Well, in the room where they read the script, the script read.
And then we get our title intro, which is exciting. I like a good dynamite or like a wick burning. Ding, 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 ding. It's always fun. And, the Mission Impossible theme is up there with the James Bond theme. It's exciting, and it has its own identity, and you know what it pumps you up for what you're getting into.
Yeah. Big time.
So
especially
is
when
this
you
first
dip that biscuit?
Is this first place they go to, Seville?
Yeah. This is the first
Spain,
stop,
right?
Seville, Spain, and basically at this point he's infiltrating this very rich socialites party because he's after this girl, Thandiwe Newton's character, who is a master thief and an absolute 10 out of 10 smoke show hottie in this film. Right?
Yeah.
My God, gorgeous. This woman's never seen a bad day in her life.
Yep. She's my favorite character in the Chronicles of Riddick. If you guys are familiar. Riddick and his Chronicles, they're exciting. I do like it. She's sort of like a Catwoman, right? She's got the know with all to infiltrate this place. She goes into the corner, puts on some gloves, looks directly at the camera at one point. I'm like, why is she looking at us? We're with you, lady. We're here with you. And she knows exactly where everything is. I like all this kind of like sleuthy stuff. It's cool. I like that she knows that the bathroom, like the bathtub is where the vault is, which is like somewhere you wouldn't expect it to be, which, usually it's like behind a painting or on like, a secret.
I wrote she's got Jack Sparrow's compass.
Yeah, it's got some weird tech thing that keeps pointing at like where gold is or something.
The vault
She also has his gauge. He's like,
it's almost like Adam West Batman. It's like, I'll get my vault locating compass.
Yeah. Bat locator.
But it's probably looking for some kind of like radio signal or something.
Yeah.
It does kind of bug me though that in all of this, she's set up as this master thief. And then as soon as it's revealed to her that she's just being used as a decoy, that doesn't come back at all, and she loses her agency completely because then she becomes sort of a damsel in distress for the rest of the movie. And I don't think that it does to the level of which you're describing, because like she thinks that he's trying to recruit her for her skills, which she has skills, and we see that she has skills, like a ton of them. But then you're right, it knocks it down a peg when he's like, actually, I'm the one that set off the device, which makes her skills seem even better, because had he not done that, then she would have gotten away with stealing the necklace and proven to us that she's more than capable as a thief. But all this section of the movie, but like they don't use.
I know, I'm not done.
Except for like a sleight of hand.
But she has to do so much sleight of hand throughout her whole thing is that she has to infiltrate, and she's got to act, she's got to deal with emotion, she's got to do a lot of stuff that no one else in this movie has to do, which is pretty cool. I also think that
she
like
does some stuff though.
She does, yeah. I don't think that she loses agency entirely, but I think you're right, Jason, in the fact that like this is literally the first year of the new millennium, and she doesn't have as much agency as she would if this movie came out.
And you're right, she goes from being recruited because she is the Catwoman thief sleuth it becomes like, actually, no, we need you to just basically just go fuck your
Sure,
ex-wife.
you're hot.
Yeah. And it's
We're
also
asking you for your body.
Yeah, and it's also after he's already like fucked her and stuff, which is like really
Extra gross.
Yeah, you're just like
Yeah,
Ethan, because like Ethan Hunt, I almost called him Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hunt is not supposed to be a James Bond.
No,
but he
he's
is
not. It's
and this is the
so
only
weird.
Yeah, and this is the only movie where he is like a James Bond.
It
like
made
after
me feel
this,
weird, like because
Yeah.
I watched the more recent ones, like where like I watched Fallout, and then when Dead Reckoning came out, I watched Fallout and then Dead Reckoning, and then whatever all this shit. Every time I watched kind of the back end ones where it felt like the whole story, like the whole like one mega movie.
Yeah.
So I have that characterization of him in my head, and then watching this, I'm like, why is he like so
horny? Exactly. Why is he so
He's
horny?
not horny in the other
He's
movies.
not supposed to be
like,
horny.
No,
it does.
It
Almost.
like
it
Bond,
almost
like Bond. Like it's, you know what I mean. It's like
it's
that's
expected.
his thing. He has to.
I mean, they also
John Woo might be horny and
Like-
wanted to make a James Bond movie.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that it might be that they were just trying to make a James Bond movie. This is you
John-
have to remember
John
this is
It
the
feels
second.
very James Bond.
This is not
John-
like it's the third or fourth movie. This is the second one, right? Like
Yeah.
they were trying to make their James Bond movie, and they succeeded to a degree, but they also completely like missed the point of the character from the first movie. And I think they tried to course correct in the third one because he has like a wife and stuff in the third one, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Secret
Sam,
Girl.
we cut you off. Go ahead.
No. It's, what I was going to say too is that it's so clear that this movie's doing a big shift because of the wire foo-ness of it all. All of a sudden, Ethan Hunt's like doing these front flip, like gonna knock you out with my kick, kind of weird kung fu moves that he doesn't really do for the rest of the series, right?
No.
Like
He doesn't sand kick a gun into his hand, which was cool as fuck. But he doesn't do that again.
Yeah.
But the other weird thing is that Thandiwe Newton doesn't show up, isn't mentioned in the rest of the series whatsoever, right? And there's all these other beautiful women, because of course this is a Hollywood movie, and we got to have beautiful women. But like even Ethan Hunt becomes like a great pickpocket and thief too, to the point where like, well, why did we need her in the first? Just put Ethan Hawke in a dress, send him in, bing bang boom. Why are we bothering with any of this? I'm sure there's got.
Well, I mean, it's the whole reason is because they
gotta have him fuck someone.
But also, like, she was hit the enemy's girlfriend for an extended period of time, and they needed they needed somebody on the inside, and she was the only one that they could get in there without it being difficult, right? It's the easiest way in. And I do like that they gave her the character choice of being like, I can't just like walk in there. Like he's gonna immediately know he's not an idiot. And they're like, okay, so what do we do? And she's like, what we have to do is make me get caught for like a similar crime to what I just committed, which is sort of, we're pushing the plot now, and that's I think appropriate because we're about at that point anyway. And she she comes up with the idea to be like, so we'll frame a crime up for me, and I'm gonna get locked away, and then if you put me in enough trouble, he will come to me and pull me out, and he'll save me, which I think is cool and smart. And I like that in terms of like a subterfuge and espionage storyline. Like this kind of stuff is smart and interesting. At least it lets us know that the characters that we're dealing with are not just like, let's just send her in there, send in the legs, and he'll squeeze them or whatever. Yeah, but I also do like that the villain himself is like almost always suspicious of everyone, even his most trusted allies. He's like, I'll cut your fucking fingers off just for looking at me wrong.
Why was this? I had a couple questions about the villain.
He's from Scotland. That's why he sounds that way.
Okay, no more questions.
Yeah.
No. Why they were like when he was like bad. And then they were talking about it. She was like, yeah, this guy was definitely going to do this. It's like, why was he with IMF? So weird. Like, I felt
it seems like they,
when you said they wanted to bring Emilio back, that would, I feel like they just did that anyway, but just made a new guy, but didn't like
they did 006 from GoldenEye again, right? They were like,
for sure, but they didn't even make him seem like he was ever a good guy, other than like, oh yeah,
and I think like in the structure of the film, it's difficult to do that, right? Because you wanna have that intense opening where we see that he's the bad guy, but like unless Ethan and him are there together to have that reveal, the intensity of it is not the same. But also, it doesn't even seem like these two guys liked each other or even really knew each other that much. You know, when Anthony Hopkins is like, he always
job. Like that one time we killed an entire room of people.
But even Anthony Hopkins is like, we always use him for you to double you because he's so good at doubling you, and you're like, okay. And so it's like it's just like it's almost like a coworker that you've only kind of like hung out with like once or twice, and you sort of know him but not really.
Yeah,
there's no connection between the two of them, which is another reason why I think they had to have that character of Hall to have some sort of history to show emotion in him, or else it's like, where does that exist, right? Like I think the brilliance of GoldenEye is that like Trevelyan and Bond like clearly
buddies,
they have respect for each other and they actually like each other.
They have a history.
But they also just have fundamentally different ideals on how the world should operate. And Trevelyan had like a horrible past where like his whole family was murdered. Yeah,
and betrayed.
But they were smart. They were smart in GoldenEye because they hadn't killed Trevelyan with an elevator in a previous movie.
That's true.
That whole thing, that little chestnut. Now, like, really fun fact about Dougray Scott in this movie. Do you know what role he turned down to be the villain in this film?
I do. I believe it is.
That's it. Yeah, he was originally cast as Wolverine in the X-Men movies. Can you imagine Dougray Scott being the Wolverine that we have now?
I don't think Dougray Scott would have been 25 years of Dougray Scott as Wolverine.
I mean, he might have been, because I don't think I've ever seen him again since this movie. So, he's probably kicking himself every day.
Yeah.
I mean, he's big in the UK.
Wrong Australian.
Yeah.
He was in the Batwoman TV show as Batwoman's dad.
Oh wow!
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I actually thought
that's almost as equal as Wolverine.
Yeah. I actually thought that Richard Roxburgh, who plays Hugh Stamp in this, was that actor who plays from Gotham, who plays Alfred, but it's not. They're two different people, obviously.
Oh yeah, they do look alike.
But they look so similar because at this time that actor was in stuff. I think he's in Alien 3 a few years before this.
Maybe, yeah.
He was
Alien 3 is. Like,
this will blow your mind. He was in Van Helsing. He was the Dracula of Van Helsing.
Oh, that's what I fucking know him from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I know him from the whole time? I didn't look it up because
he's also the Duke in Moulin Rouge.
Okay. I didn't look him up because I was like, I will figure this out throughout the movie, and I just didn't, because there's not enough time where it like rests on him for me to pick up on his other mannerisms and stuff. I'm like, where am I noticing things that this guy's done? And it is absolutely Van Helsing. I weirdly like that movie, guys. I kind of like Van Helsing.
Oh, you know what we missed was the car flirting.
Well, I was just gonna get to that, because after the whole thing with the mansion and the necklace and all that, we get to a very James Bond-esque car chase. And the car chase only goes on for like a couple minutes, and then it turns into like a weird, they're just like spinning around each other, very John Woo, spinning around each other in the car. And then she almost
I feel like
died.
throughout this entire conversation, anytime anything weird happens, we're gonna be like, John Woo stuff starts happening.
I wrote, this is the most expensive flirt recruitment ever.
It's a fuck. It's a euphemism
crashing
for
their cars
fucking
into each other.
Yeah. Their cars are fucking right now.
Yeah,
the end of the longest car crash I've ever seen put to film. I think,
but again, it's like, I think they did, in a lot of ways, use GoldenEye as a template to like sketch out the bones of this movie, because this is like, it almost looks like it's the same road. Like, did they film it on the same road?
I have a note here. I looked it up, and I said, so with all the crazy car stuff, I looked it up, and Tom Cruise actually grew out his hair for this movie. That is his real hair. There you go.
Well, it looks goddamn cool.
A true X-Man.
Yeah.
He should have.
Tom Cruise's super mutant power is growing his hair.
At least Tom Cruise is the right height for Wolverine.
I just said that. God damn it.
Did you?
Yeah. Whoa. James Bond sound. Well, after he saves her life, they'd already had a sexual tension moment earlier, but they have a very sexual tension moment that leads to them having sexual intercourse. Yeah, in like a nice villa, and they are sort of discussing the nature of the situation in bed, and it heavily implies that they bang again. Now over to Anthony. Listen, I'm going to tell you about it.
I know. I just imagine you had a notepad and you're like, it's like a bang chart. Like you're just like putting like notches in. Like they banged 3 times so far.
Yeah, my bang chart. Write that down.
Get the chart out.
That's a t-shirt. I can draw that easily.
That's what I'm saying.
Bang.
Looks like a chalkboard.
So we're introduced to Anthony Hopkins' character. He's like you said, like a mission giver. It's kind of like Q in this a little bit.
No, like M.
He's like M.
Or M. Sorry, M. Yeah,
MI too.
MI too.
And there's also like a Day of the Dead sort of thing going on outside.
It's a saint celebration. This is Spain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not Mexico, Jason.
Yeah, racist.
Thank you. This is it's been several weeks in a row now that you've called me racist.
Oh, is that okay? Now I understand that text because I didn't understand what Jason just texted me and said, "Why are these people speaking Mexican?" And I was like, I didn't know what he was talking about.
You son of a bitch. Your mother's very nice, actually. She's been on the show in the chat before, I think. But yes, Ethan Hunt is there to meet Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins shows him, because he's not credited in this, I don't know what his name is. He shows
his name is like General Mission Giver or something. It's like something. Let me see if I can find it.
Just Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Okay, Mission Commander Swanbeck.
Swanbeck.
Yeah, he walks in and he goes, "Hello, Mr. Hunt. It's good to see you again."
Yeah.
I have a mission for you if you choose to accept it.
But he basically shows him a video of the scientist from the beginning, and he talks to him about Ambrose the villain, the Chimera project, and he basically describes the entire opening scene that we saw at the beginning. And then he basically reveals the end of it. The plane crashed and that scientist died.
He died?
He died.
Oh no!
Tells me about the face.
Was it the plane crash or was it the virus that got him?
Yeah, we'll never know. We'll never know.
He also reveals
it was actually the third thing, which was his neck got snapped by fake Ethan Hunt. You saw it happen.
Yeah, put his head on backwards. But the whole he's like, in order to, what is the point of the Chimera? Like he's like, in order to make a hero, we need to make a villain. And so I have a note here that just says, in order to make medicine or something, we had to make a horrible disease.
Yeah, that's basically the concept, is that they combined like every flu ever known to make this super virus so that they could figure out a way to make an antivirus for that virus. So like they're like, we can't make an ultimate cure without first making an ultimate disease. So
why not?
I mean, it is stupid, but also like
it's Doomsday from Superman. Like, I made a baby, and this baby I kept killing so he could get good at not dying.
But I mean, that's exactly that's how we make cures for diseases, right? Like we can't.
But we don't make a super one.
Several times during this movie, they kind of talk about how like we wanted to like cure the flu,
everything.
Yeah,
but then they just went way too far and made a literal chimera, which is if they explain here. In like Roman mythology, there's the monster. This
movie was just preparing us for 2020.
It's 2020, and then 2000 and probably this year.
And then everyone was like, "I ain't taking your chimera healer pills or whatever the hell."
They'll have masks put trackers and people keep calling them snowflakes. But the chimera is from Roman mythology, I think, or Greek mythology, and it's basically the head of a lion, the head of a snake, and the head of a lion, snake.
No.
It has the head of a lion, yes, but it doesn't have any other additional heads. Other parts of its body are different animals. It's made up. It's like a bunch of different body parts.
Yeah, it's a bird body.
It's an ancient Greek thing.
And the snake.
The snake is the tail. Yeah,
I'm thinking. I'm thinking of in Final Fantasy lore. So it's usually two.
Well, I don't think that Tom Cruise or John Woo were thinking about Final Fantasy lore.
John Woo might have been.
She's a big ice lady. And she freezes Bellerophon, and boom, Ethan Hunt dies. The end. Final Fantasy credits.
Well, I do remember at the end of this movie when it's like, when he gets on the motorcycle.
I want to cut that final battle with the Sephiroth theme. That'd be sick.
That'd be sick.
But they make the plane crash look like an accident as well, and now they have to recover the Chimera virus.
Not before Anthony Hopkins gets to be extremely sexist.
Yeah,
true.
Oh yeah.
What does he say, everyone?
Well, he like they say, like, oh, it's like what we're gonna send a woman to have sex with this guy and then lie to him, and then Anthony Hopkins says she's a woman, she's got all the training she needs.
Yeah,
and I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
it's not as bad as later.
That wasn't even
Brooks
scripted.
Like, swing from one brand
yeah.
to another, but this was definitely on par with that level of sexism.
I mean,
no, but guys,
that's literally what he says.
It's a good sexism. He's saying that she's really good at something.
Yeah,
come on.
All the tools she needs. Yeah.
That's a very good Anthony Hopkins.
You know, it would be a true Mission Impossible, Ethan, is to get you to go in there and fall in love with him. Are you up for that? Mission Impossible 3.
I guess so.
This is a part. He says.
Yeah, it's Mission Impossible, not Mission.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
Not
I realize that's Back to the Future.
Yeah, because he says it. He's like, we got to go back to the future. And that was Steve's face poorly copied and pasted onto Doc Brown, and Jason's poorly pasted onto Marty McFly.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Can you play it again?
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
Jason's enormous head.
Yeah.
It's like this movie. The masks are much more convincing in this movie. Than that.
Yeah.
Your face is like over here.
Yeah, it looks like a mask. It looks like I'm wearing it as like a Halloween mask.
And it's funny how much better it looks because it's on my shitty little TV compared to the because I literally did it in like 10 seconds. I'm like, it'll look fine on the TV.
That's good.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, but it is revealed that this expert thief that they were hiring for a thief job is just going to be a decoy. And Ethan, who's already had sex with this woman and is in love with her, clearly is not happy about that.
She's not a decoy. She's like an integral
she's a honeypot
part of the plan. She's a honeypot, which is Anthony Hopkins doesn't care. Or Swanback or whatever the fuck his name is.
Part Anthony Hopkins.
Swanback.
Yeah.
Ayo. There's also some pictures involved. I thought they were going to be blackmail. Like I thought Ethan was going to have to blackmail her with some deep fakes, but it's actually just pictures of the crash that he ends up showing her to like prove everything.
Look how gory all these people died. Isn't it gross?
They got blowed up.
And
look, this guy's head is through his ass.
Yeah.
He tells her about Ambrose. And they
at hour 37, his wiener fell off.
What? Here's a picture of it. Look at it. This is proof that you have to help us. Right. So this is the thing that you started to talk about, Stephen, earlier, where like she's going to be used. So they're going to put her in jail, and then since Ambrose is watching basically the world prison video, like he's looking at this screen of where everybody's
like that sounds like World Star.
Yeah.
Welcome to World Prison Video.
WorldPrisonVideo.com. Smash subscribe and like.
Yeah. If you want to see a man's wiener fall off, like and subscribe.
I call it the crime wire in my notes.
Crime wire is pretty good.
Yeah, but basically it's like if her name shows up on the crime wire, he's looking at the crime wire. He's gonna be like, "Oh, I gotta help my ex."
The thing is that I assume he's been tracking it specifically for her, but also
like an alert if she comes up.
Exactly.
I thought he was tracking it like for himself, like to see if he was.
I mean, that's probably also it too. Like he's probably tracking it for a lot of reasons, but he probably has
could be tracking more than one thing.
Yeah. It's like the stock market. He's got a diverse portfolio of criminals. He's in there. She's in there.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It looks like the stock market when they show it on the screen. But then we get a great montage of the mission boys getting their shit together.
There's only 2 other mission boys on this team.
I know. They're so conservative in this movie. The other ones, there's like five team members.
Yeah, because they all fucking died in the first go in the last one.
Yeah. Also in this movie, I was reading a little bit about it. 2 things. That scene where they're on the balcony, Tom Cruise apparently like hated that scene so much because he was like, it's just not working. And like he didn't like any of the lines that what's her name? Thandiwe Newton had, and he was like, it's not working. Like it wasn't that he didn't like her performance, it's that he just thought that the lines were shit, and he's like, we need to figure this out. And he did a thing where like they reversed role played, so like he would play her role and she would play his, and he thought it would like help her figure out a way to deliver the lines more I don't know, with a different perspective. And like apparently it like fucked up everything, and she was like I'm so uncomfortable now and I don't like this. And
he's like, when do I get to do a backflip off of this balcony also?
But apparently like eventually they were like, you know, I understand what you were trying to do, but it made me feel like really fun because like she was playing him and he was playing her kind of thing, right? And then also I can't remember the other thing I was going to say. Anyway, whatever. That was the interesting part there.
Yeah. So
they send her to fake jail.
They send her to fake jail. Yeah.
They send her to fake jail. He sees it on the crime wire, and she gets picked up and taken to Sydney, Australia, where like most of this movie was filmed. Also.
Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say is that there was supposed to be a larger team, and the other characters that were going to fill out this team were going to be actors from the original Mission Impossible television series that were going to be playing like their same characters and old people. Yeah. And then much
like Emilio Estevez's character, they were all dead.
That wasn't the problem, but
Mark Landau was still alive at this time, so it's fine.
The problem was that the studio heads were like, I mean, they're not dead, but they're almost dead, and it's going to be depressing to have old like, what the fuck are you doing?
What is this technology? What is that, a cell phone?
Is he wearing a face that isn't his face?
Back in my day, our missions used to be impossible.
Yeah. This doesn't seem that impossible to me.
I could do this backwards and in my sleep.
And then they try to do their own stunts, and they all break their hips.
Their knees explode.
Tom, you said it would be safe. You said I could totally do it.
You got a guy using a walker with the Mission Impossible theme playing.
To make it to 2 p.m. without a midday nap.
They dropped me through the skylight.
Or like absentmindedly grabbing the exploding gum and eating it, even though they've been told many times to be careful around it.
Stop. Yeah. I've got a bit of a sweet tooth.
Sorry. Nia Hall has a tracker inside of her that they show her get put in her arm, which can track her to within 3 feet, which I think is just so like they can just see her wherever she is and it's accurate, I guess. And but the thing that I thought was hilarious in this sequence, they can just see her. This shows the satellite can like see where she is.
Yeah, but they need to know where she is to see, to point the satellite.
Yeah,
it's the new millennium, man.
And we're like a half hour.
Yeah.
We're like a half hour into this movie, and the first time I write, if they cut all this bullshit slow motion, it would be much shorter. They don't need to have somebody walking down a pier and then part of it also be in slow motion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I didn't really mind this part so much because it's like it's establishing the team while also showing like she's arrived. And like, so rather than just have it be the team getting to know each other and shaking hands or whatever, they've turned it into sort of this mini music video where there's an intense song playing, everything is developing, they're setting up their gear, we're seeing that they're establishing a base of operations, and instead of it having like her walking around and doing or just not being there at all, they cut it intermittently between it. I kind of like the whole walking up in slow motion thing. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, you remove it and then it's like what, you have that later and it's just a regular speed and he doesn't catch the scarf. The scarf catch is cool. I like the scarf catch.
I like the last like 30 minutes of this movie, all that
it's a little bit much.
When it's John Woo action, some of the slow-mo is great, but I don't know. This movie is just he just went so insane with slow motion in this movie, and we're about to do Face Off and The Killer, so maybe that's just what he does. But
he likes slow mo, but he also likes squibs and he likes gunplay and he likes a lot of cool action shit.
Doves or pigeons, depending on the
scars.
I will say that while I was watching the movie, Danny was like, "Why the fuck are they? Why is she walking so slow down that pier?" And she was walking very slowly. Like she could have maybe picked up the pace a bit.
She's a model.
It's a runway.
Hello.
Also, the brutalist architecture of this fucking house was just so depressing, and I didn't like it. I was like,
see, this tied into what I was saying about how like when he was revealed to be bad, and Tom Cruise is just like, oh yeah, obviously, yeah, that's the bad guy. That's why he's bad. And then he has like a layer. Like, is IMF like stupid? Like, do they not like?
I also assume these guys get paid a lot of money to be super. I know,
but like hidden layer, like he literally has like, it's just everything about him. It's like they never. I feel like they did such a bad job of making it seem like he was ever like forget that he was ever like supposed to be basically a peer,
a good guy. Yeah.
Ethan Hunt.
Also, like to sort of add on to that point, it's like at the beginning of the movie, Ethan Hunt is on his vacation doing crazy solo rock climbing, and then Anthony Hopkins still finds him to give the mission, and he's like, "Sorry, I didn't tell you where I went." And he's like, "You don't have to tell us. We'll find you wherever you go." And then, like at the end of the movie, they say that again, where it's like, "Oh, I'll tell you where I'm going this time." And he's like, "No need, Mr. Hunt, no need," and he walks away. But it's like this other guy, they couldn't figure out where the fuck he was like, at all, but they can find Ethan Hunt when he's climbing in the middle of the fucking desert.
He's got one of those like chips inside of him, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. That's probably like he probably doesn't know he's got one of those chips inside. Oh, here, Ethan, please just take this pill.
Yeah, based on your vibes, we can tell exactly where you're going to be climbing and when.
Yeah. It's an anti-syphilis pill. You seem like the kind of guy.
You might need it. Yeah. This new drug is called PrEP, Ethan. We know what you're talking about.
Listen, it's not just for gay men anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
It's not the 90s anymore, Mr. Hunt.
But when we see Hull and Ambrose talking, she's like, well, how'd you find me? He's like, magic. Immediately it shows the henchman Hugh Stamp just making the most suspicious face we've ever seen, and we also find out that the chip is untraceable because Ethan from Lost, I don't know if you guys clocked that.
Yeah, we all caught. We all said, it's Ethan from, not Ethan Hunt, but Ethan from Lost.
Yeah. I don't know shit about Lost. Come on.
That's like the only thing that I know that guy from that I
don't like that guy's face.
Well, he's from
that's why he got cast in things as well. He's got an uncomfortable face. That's like his whole thing.
Yeah, but
you don't have to date him, Steve.
I'm not gonna.
But good. But they use like a scanner on her, and they're like, she's clean. And Ambrose is fucking gross. He makes her change in front of him, and then as she's like half naked, I think it's implied that they have sex, and then Ethan is just sees all of it and is super emotional.
Well, I've already seen everything. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, she's doing it for the good of the planet, I guess, but at the same time, she doesn't want to. And also, like, no matter how long you've been in a relationship with somebody, standing in front of them while they change after you've been apart for a long time is like weird. I don't even want to do that with somebody that's like in my house every day. I'm going to be like, I'll give you some privacy. You know, it's villainous behavior. It really is underlining how much of a villain this guy is. You're like, yeah, villain. Just in case you thought that there was any humanity in him. No. Yeah. And then the next time he's alone with somebody, he cuts the end of their finger off.
Well, that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Like he questions him about the whole situation, and Ambrose is such a maniac that he's lighting a cigar and he's got the like cigar clipper and he grabs him by the finger and he's like, that finger looks gangly or whatever, and then just takes the tip of his finger off.
I mean, to be fair, that fingernail did look a little bit rancid.
It did look gnarly.
I wrote like Hugh was very suspicious, and I wrote Hugh's got a good head on his shoulders, and then Ambrose just goes off the fucking deep end. It's funny because he's like, hey, are you sure she's okay? She might be spying. And then he's like, of course she's spying, and cuts his finger off. And I'm like, okay, he's just agreeing with you both. You both think the same thing. Like you're mad that he like voiced what you think.
Nobody thinks my thoughts except for me.
I
like,
think
it's
that
not like he's like, oh yeah, she seems really sincere, and then he's like, no, she's spying, you idiot, and cut his finger off. He's just like,
I mean, to me, yeah, absolutely agree. I think it's like it's meant to be like to show how insecure this super genius man actually is, because he's like instead of him being like, yeah, absolutely, he's like, do you think I'm dumb? Like that's what what he takes from that, right? Like somebody trying to give
like,
you
you're telling you something I already know.
Yeah, what are you fucking are you think that I'm stupid? No, you're actually the stupid one, and now I'm gonna cut your finger off.
I know you are, but what am I?
I'll tell you what you are. You're a person with 1/5 less of a pinky. That's what you are.
I've got a theory.
Okay, that one's good. Who did
I don't actually have it? I don't actually have
it in the middle, and then both of the kids are Steve.
Yeah, that's it. I can tell.
Theories.
And
I don't actually have a theory.
I'm making goofy faces in both of them.
I just wanted to play that. Does anybody have a theory about anything so far?
No, this movie doesn't require theories because everything is very clean and laid out for you. You don't need to ever.
I made that, so I had to use that.
Yeah.
I think these are going to work, guys. I think this is
What do you mean you made that? You put the theory sound over the thing that I made?
Yeah. We all made it. Actually, you mostly made that one. You made 2/3 of that one.
I think that me and Alex made more of that one than you did.
Oh yeah, I guess you made the theme. I curated it.
I made it, so I had to play it.
You're in the credits now. I put you in the credits for everything.
Congratulations. So, I don't even get that honor.
Well, you're in the credits. Have you not seen the giant picture that Steven made of you?
I mean,
no, because you're in the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Also, I don't have hair anymore. And a
you haven't had hair in that picture
either. It's like a hat covering it.
You
gotta send me a newer picture.
Send me nude pics.
I'll send anyone nude pics if you're hot enough.
Oh. Well, I don't know if I'll use them for the posters, but
just crop them from the bottom lip up because the rest is so sexual.
I mean, if you're wearing a belt, it's technically not a nude.
Oh man. The horse track sequence. You know, Hugh's pissed off about everything.
Sure.
It's just
the Australian guy
sitting there thinking, why did he cut my finger? I told him what he thought.
Yeah, I was just trying to tell him what I thought he wanted to hear.
Why am I working for him? He's so mean.
It's true though. Why is he? He's clearly smart and probably could find another like powerful.
He could have been his own villain in his own movie.
It's true.
Maybe
he has a villainous face and like
maybe this love.
He does have presence as well. I mean, he did become Dracula, so
he did become Dracula.
We know he's good enough for that at least.
The Australian
to be Dracula.
The Australian Mission Impossible man, he's there. He gives Naya a earpiece. Ethan is also there. This is the first time they will have seen each other, I guess, since everything went down.
Yeah.
There's like a newspaper. There was a newspaper thing with money in it that implies that there's 37 million pounds on the line for all of this, and it could be from the buyers that want to buy the Chimera. We don't really know anything about that yet, but we are introduced to John McCloy, played by Mr. Brendan Gleeson, who is a fantastic actor. He's a great actor. Everybody's saying how good an actor. Stop that.
You need to stop that forever.
I'm sorry. He's a bioscientist for a company called
Bioscientist for a
Biosite.
company, and I'm definitely not Irish. And you're like, wait a minute.
I am
What
definitely
accent is he
not
trying to do?
Irish. Yeah.
The Irish don't
So-
roll their R's, Jason.
I'm not Irish.
Oh, no, you're not. You're from Liverpool, apparently. Liverpool. No, I mean, obviously he's one of the best actors who ever lived, and it's nice to see him in a Mission Impossible, but have we ever seen him in a Bond? I don't think he's been in a Bond, has he?
I don't know.
He's still alive, right? He hasn't died yet.
Yeah. No,
I just say because like most of the Harry Potter like alum have died at this point, like all the older ones.
Yeah.
Madison's watching a show with him in it now. I can't remember what it's called, but it's called like Dead Man or something.
He plays Mad Eye Moody in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Potter, come here.
I always think of 28 Days Later.
Oh yeah, get out of it. Yeah. When
His
he's
eye?
losing his shit. Yeah.
Gets the oh god, you must have hated that, Jason. The blood
Yeah,
drop
you
in the eye.
Yes, I did. Sam,
Yeah.
what's going on, brother? What's happening on your screen?
He's turning into a 28 days labor. 28 days labor.
labor.
Write it down, Jason. That's a joke.
Well, and I don't know if you saw 28 years later, but there's the 28 days labor in that movie.
That comes out tomorrow.
I want to see it.
Me too.
Let's go see it together, guys.
I'm in. I think Sam tried to go onto his computer with good headphones, and his laptop is having a hard time with the situation.
All right.
We should have a technical difficulties one, Alex. Can you make that one? Can you make one of those?
I
Make it
thought
like
was
the
just this
Simpsons one.
podcast.
Technical difficulties.
I'll be
It's
right back.
fucking great.
Right. So we also have Hall go and jack the memory card off Ambrose, and she almost gets caught, but she has slick moves. And there is a funny moment where the Australian guy messes with Hugh. He like knocks him into the door.
Yeah. Now, Jason, are you gone now? Welcome to the Alex Scow podcast. I'm Alex Scow. Today we're talking about Mission Impossible 2. Jason is incapacitated. Steve has left. I went. This has gone off the rails.
Will it play through? Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Everybody else is gone. Oh, Jason's back.
Can you hear me?
I can now. Yes.
That was weird. Everything exploded.
That was like bedlam.
Crashed, and now I'm on my laptop, but it's not great. Yeah, no, it's weird.
Sam, when you went to your
hopefully it wasn't
laptop,
me.
I think it was because everything is exploded and you're lagging hard.
Yeah, this is what I get for trying to record something on my laptop. It hates me.
Steve,
The whole time I was in the bathroom, I was thinking, like, what could I draw for 28 days labor? And then I forgot in the last one, there's like that zombie that gives birth, and I could just draw that zombie.
That's what I said before everything exploded. While you were away, we had a massive
it was crazy.
Okay, cool.
I took over. I was the only person here for about 15, 20 seconds.
How long was I gone? I was
Sam,
just taking
you might want to go back to your
28
phone,
days.
brother.
28 days.
I wonder if all the memory card shit looked super high tech at the time. in
Probably.
2000.
I remember, I can't remember what movie it was, but like, remember when like little tiny, like the GameCube style discs for a while?
Yeah.
Where
Oh yeah, they were putting those in everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was in Spawn had one, and I think like, I can't remember exactly the movies, but it was always something that had to do with like a virus.
Yeah,
for some reason, like a computer virus and like a medical virus were like the same thing for a little bit in like the late 90s.
And they love those little discs.
Man.
And so they have that Australian guy that's helping Ethan, and I wrote that this guy's accent is insane, and I wrote this guy's like Kano level.
Yeah. He's like pure
like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like,
Couple out of knife. Yeah, well,
you might want to look at this one, darling. Over here, it's called Down Under, the horse. I mean, I'm not telling you to look down under. No.
And
his character literally didn't really have much to do after that moment in the movie. He's just sort of there to to
be painfully
Australian
at first, and then
and then Ving Rhames is mostly getting all the work done, which I like. I love Ving Rhames, and like he's one of those actors that I feel like he never kind of like, he's always a supporting actor. He never really gets his time to shine in movies. I think that Dawn of the Dead is probably one of those movies where he is sort of the main character in that movie. But beyond that, he never really got something that you could sink your teeth into.
I wrote Luther's getting those steps in.
One of them is directly into a bunch of kangaroo shit.
But when when he runs and grabs the memory card, when she manages to steal the memory card or whatever, and he's like, and he's like visibly sweating.
So Ethan and Hull meet up. They look at the card on a camera. It shows blood being infected and has pictures of an infected man. Apparently the virus melts you from the inside out.
Yeah.
And as this is happening, Q sort of spots her and then starts like going up to them.
I wrote that,
I think what really would have helped the film is showing us a dude suffering from this. Like The Rock. Right, you always want to see somebody die from the virus, so you can go like, "Oh shit, that's gonna happen to Ethan."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of get that a few times. Like you get it in other ways. You never see the extent of it or the end of it, but yeah, you get the guy at the beginning who's like he's been infected he's checking his watch and he's sweating. The doctor at the beginning, and then Hull gets infected, and by the end she's looking pretty. She's looking darling.
They have the pictures of Gradsky or whatever, and I wrote at 31 hours, Gradsky looks like Senator Kelly from X-Men.
He's gonna explode into a bunch of goo.
We gotta keep him in Ziploc bags.
And I wrote
he goes everywhere.
This guy's dying like he's in a fucking Tim Burton Batman movie.
Yeah,
like it's just really weird.
I've got a theory about X-Men and that character and him exploding into that goo. That was their visual representation of the Blob for that era. They used to like put characters in superhero movies, but never say their name, and just sort of it's a representation. Before now in the MCU, they're like, this is the character, this is their backstory.
Power.
Yeah, the Blob.
I know,
is just
but
a big fat guy.
Don't be ridiculous.
This was the guy that turned into a blob.
Yeah,
anyway,
his whole power is self-gravity manipulation.
And then you're like, so in this movie, you're saying that like Alex was saying, like by day 37, he looks like Mitch McConnell or whatever, and he's like, I think I'm too far gone for everyone.
I say.
But it was interesting after this.
Stripped once more and bashed my head open again.
I saw a TikTok of Mitch McConnell the other day, and I was like, he's still alive? I just assumed he died after the last time he shut down on live television.
Last screen?
Somehow Mitch McConnell returned.
Yeah. Thanks, Poe. So anyway, they have this back and forth that I explained already, and she takes the envelope with the card reader thing or the card back to Ambrose, and he's like
her close-up magic tricks where she can just.
Well, he's very like suspicious, and there was a weird moment when she slips it back in. There were two things I wanted to mention when she slips it back in. The way the camera held on the moment,
I can answer this to you right now if you'd like to.
Well, and the other one was later when like he keeps saying it's in my left breast pocket. I thought that he was going to find it in the left pocket or something. Anyway, sorry, Steve,
that is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
They keep saying left over and over, and she puts it in his right, and then that's why they slow it down, is so that you as the audience can be like, oh, she's putting it in the wrong pocket. And then when he's back in his office, he says it's in my right pocket, so that we can all be like, dude, she fucked up. He knows what's going on. He's a genius.
Thanks, John Woo.
Oh,
John
no.
Woo.
And
listen,
she
it's for
put
an
it in
international audience.
Yeah.
So we go over to
I once wrestled on a show. We showed a magic trick in front of the audience, and even at the end of the match, people were walking around like going like, how did they do that? And it's like, we showed you. People are idiots.
But also, like, I think that this is the early days of like, this movie must be made for an international audience. We want it to clock high with everyone, right? So things are a little bit more simplistic, and it's a little bit more spectacle in terms of the visuals and things that everybody's.
It's a John Woo movie. It's going to do good.
It's a John Woo movie, and John Woo is an international director, and some of his movies in the East versus the West are better, and some of his movies in the West are better than the East, and it all depends on how he was feeling during that 2-year span when he was making the movie. You know,
depends on what the subtitles say for the version you're watching in 2025, 2026, and when you're watching it in
I don't know about that.
It felt like the Young Dragons had some things that were lost in translation. It had some quirkiness to it.
Remember when that guy comes in his pants?
Yeah,
that's everybody. Even people on the moon were like, "Oh, that's great."
Right. So Ambrose and Hugh, they want to make a deal with John McCloy. So they send Ethan from Lost to stalk him. And inside the car,
I wonder if that guy has been typecast as a stalker. That's like his whole thing. Is like he's like a lurching man.
He's like the worst stalker ever, because if you're a stalker, you kind of want to blend in a bit and not be noticed. But if I was being stalked by that guy, I would see him, and I'd be like, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah, and you wouldn't want to have the most drawable face for like a police sketch artist. You know?
Famously in Lost, they're immediately like, "You weren't on their plane," and also stop staring at the pregnant girl like that, please.
Yeah.
He's
a very sketchable guy.
We found the manifest.
The sketch artist would draw it, and he'd be like, "Okay, well, I wrote what you described, but it can't be. He can't look like this." And they'd be like, "That's him. That's the guy." Like,
and then they look up, and he's right there, like, kills the sketch artist immediately. Yeah. Oh God.
But his head and his neck were the exact same size all the way down to his shoulders.
Yeah, I know. He's like he was drawn onto a pencil. He's weird.
He's weird.
Yeah.
I like that when McCloy picks up the newspaper next to him, and it's like, bioscience engineer, company owner dies of influenza, and then he gets blasted with like a gas. Obviously getting the influenza.
No, he's not getting the influenza. He's getting knocked out.
So this is
I know.
Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah.
Potter.
This is Brendan Gleeson. The guy is like,
you must be a long bottom.
Legendary English actor, and his son Domhnall Gleeson. Yeah,
Domhnall Gleeson
exactly,
is man.
Right? He's big thing, and to see him doing. Oh yes, hello. I'm doing a very exaggerated, posh. You can't do this to me, kind of voice, and you're like, but you're like Irish, or something.
But that Irish is poking through. That Irish is poking through hard. Right? He's just sometimes
he's a literal banshee of Inisherin.
Oh yeah, no, he's not good.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like, just let him be Irish. Like, who gives a fuck? Why does he have to be British? Like, let him do his own accent. It happens all the time in movies where it's like, we've cast him and he has to be British, but it's like, but he would be so much better if he was just Irish. Like, just let him be Irish.
Yeah.
And what it sounds like is an Irish person trying to do
2000.
And also when you have someone like John Woo who probably doesn't give a shit about accent. Yeah. When you have John Woo who probably doesn't give a shit about like accent accuracy, He's probably just like, yeah, that was fine. Like, he gets the pig and he's like, oh, let's move on.
Yeah, they do it, and then he's like, okay, the only thing I want to change is let's make it a bit slower.
Yeah, like super slow if you can.
Yeah, like slow mo.
Yeah,
I can tell what you're saying.
All you English people sound the same to me anyway.
Yeah. More doves.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a back and forth going on here, and we've entered the official face-off of it all for this movie. A new segment that, of course, we're going to start doing next 2 weeks from now. But basically, Hall goes back to the Ambrose house. She's trying to sneak out, and Ethan is there. Or is he?
Yeah, he told her that he was going to come try and get her out.
Yeah. And then, meanwhile, over at like a hospital, John McCloy is in quarantine, and the plane crash guy, the doctor from the plane crash, like Sergey or something, he shows up and basically tells McCloy that like you have the chimera disease, and you're infected with it, and
well, you've got the disease, I've got the disease, you've got the cure, just stick it in my neck and we'll call it a day or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like, I think his British is slipping. It's too hot in that room. Yeah.
The plan was basically to peddle the Bellafrone or whatever, the antidote to the chimera. Bellerophon.
Banana phone.
Banana phone.
Banana phone.
I wrote it phonetically as Bellerophon.
Listen, the only cure for the chimera is the banana phone. Get Rafi on it now. Rafi, are you there? Rafi.
Give me that sweet potassium, please, and me blood boil.
Right in me bloodstream.
But
blood.
confesses the whole thing. And then it turns out that Ethan was Sergey. He walks around a corner, pulls off a mask. Meanwhile, Ethan, who is talking to Hall back at the base, that is Ambrose getting sort of a confession out of Hall and confirming what he, I guess, already knew. But there's even that weird thing where she goes to kiss him, and he's like, "I promise, I'll be waiting for you." And she goes to kiss him, and then he doesn't kiss her. It's all very face off.
Yeah.
It's because he doesn't want her to, or sorry, he doesn't want her to kiss him, basically, not him, but the him that is his face. Yeah, Bellerophon is also I think also
she'll know
Greek mythology hero. I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a hero.
Yeah,
because there was that whole thing about
Chimera.
we have to make a hero. We have to make a hero.
He killed the chimera. Okay, I mean, I assume he's a monster slaying hero.
Yeah, I mean, they explicitly say that in the movie, even.
Oh, okay.
There was we skipped over
They
that.
keep showing the.
I like it. I like it better as banana phone. It's funnier.
Yeah.
But okay.
But Ambrose,
it's fair. It is funnier as the banana.
Ambrose is fucking melting down over this. I think Hugh walks up and he's just half crying, and I mean, rightly so, because this guy is unhinged.
Well, he pulls the mask off and he's crying underneath the mask, so he's clearly very upset that his girlfriend, who doesn't like him.
Yeah. That he knows only came back because
I thought that she came back because she liked me. It's no, she came back because you saved her from prison, you dumbass.
So,
but
then it's revealed
it's not just that she doesn't like him; it's that she likes Ethan, and that he's always been a second-rate Ethan, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. That's why he's extra pissed off. It's not just that anybody stole her; it's that the guy he keeps having to pretend to be stole her.
I don't like him. I want the other guy, and then his job is to be the other guy.
Yeah.
I was so not only is it confusing that they're playing sort of two different characters during this sequence, but the explanation of the whole thing is what I understand it to be is that Ambrose the whole time only had the antidote, and he's trying to get the
virus,
the virus, right?
Yeah.
And then here the whole thing was to try to get the confession from McCloy so he could be sure. And then
it's more about what they wanted to do with it. What do they want to do with the virus? And his admission is, yeah, I wanted to create a virus that only I would have the cure for so that I could make a ton of money. And like that is his only gain out of it, is that I'm going to infect people with this virus. I will also have I'll also have the the cure for it, and I'm going to use it to make money. And like that is and has always been sort of like the tin hat conspiracy about the medical industry, or the pharmaceutical industry at least, is that they create viruses in order to make money by making viruses to make cures to them to charge people for it. But that's a very American idea, because a lot of places outside of America don't charge people $1 billion for medicine.
True.
Yeah.
And then Biosite has Chimera, and that's where it's being produced.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's this other thing where the next sequence is pretty interesting. It's like Ethan is like explaining what the mission is. Like, we got to go into Biosite. I'm going to go in, but Ambrose is so like kind of in a chess game, like 10 steps ahead, that he's like also explaining it to Hugh what's going to happen, which I thought was a really cool like sequence. And they do it in like a back and forth thing, but they're kind of finishing each other's sentences, which it was really cool. And essentially, I almost said sandwiches.
No, I could tell. I saw your face almost say it.
Yeah, my brain went say it, and I was like, nope, we're gonna get through this.
It's okay if you just say that forever and not use the correct one. Just say the sandwiches. It's just as funny.
Yeah, but they have to get in through the atrium in the roof, and there's these like ducts that open up because
you said ducks, and I was like, quack. I was like, what do you mean? Yeah. Quack, quack, quack.
But in this like atrium, there's like these basically it creates natural light. It creates the like right temperature for the incubator. It also is like a source of energy for the building because of the light that gets through. But it only these ducts only open for 40 seconds once a day. And
just see, this is one of those parts in the movie
do a Mission Impossible too.
My brain shut off, where I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, he's gonna get in. Like, they have to put a bunch of factors in to make it seem more impressive than it is. Yeah, like just let me see. He's gonna zip down. He's gonna zip and almost hit the floor, and then he's gonna get off, and then he's gonna be in there. And like, but they have to make it seem crazy for us to be like, holy shit, how's he gonna fucking do it? But we know he's going to do it. And the real tension in this is not any of that, right? Like, there's the infiltration in this movie, I would say, sucks compared to the first one. Because like there is so much tension in the first movie, and this is just like they tell you what you're supposed to feel before the scene. And the tension doesn't work for me here, but the tension in this whole sequence is the standoff. I think it's way cooler. And I think it's even like 10 times cooler when she does the fucking John Woo thing of inject herself with the virus, where I'm like, this is crazy now. Like, this is what I'm actually like enjoying. But like everything up to this, I'm like, I don't know.
The drop in is just like, hey, how can we dangle him from a rope again?
Exactly.
Like the first
we already dangled him from a big rock in the desert. Let's see.
No, but it's like oh, what's the part that everybody loved? I loved when he just like goes through the vent on the thing.
When he zips and almost hits the ground. Yeah.
It's like, let's zip him again.
But in this movie, he's not about to hit lasers. It's just like, like
it's gonna
I already
be
explained what exactly. Yeah.
Dangle Impossible.
Mission Dangle.
I would have liked to see him fuck it up and smash through that glass circle at the bottom that he ends up using like a diamond laser cutter through.
I think they do that in one of them. I think that is a thing that happens in one of them.
Oh man, I want to see him mess one of these things up because it's so funny to me, almost like parody. But he does make the dive.
I mean, his biggest mistake was fighting Henry Cavill in that bathroom.
I would love to see Tom Cruise horribly die.
Oh, is Henry Cavill smashing a sink from a Mission?
Yeah, they fight in the bathroom.
Yeah, he reloads his fists.
He does the fist reload? Oh man.
Yes.
I know I say this about every franchise we do, but I kind of want to watch
his arms. That's where I stole that move from. I wrestle with that now.
Well, it's
the
a good
reload.
Move. I don't give a fuck. Henry Cavill doing the fist reload is cool to me.
Yeah, it's the best. That was like 30% of the reason why I lost the weight. I watched that movie.
You're like, I want to be able to reload my fist.
I was watching that movie and I'm like, damn, like you can just.
I don't want to get winded every time I try to reload my fist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wait, did you do it to be able to reload your fist, or did you lose the weight because you were jerking off to that scene over and over again for hours and hours and hours? I mean, why not both, I guess?
Why not both?
Very hot. He's very hot.
But he does get in. There's a little bit of a guy keeps looking through a window at him.
Well, this is also one of those moments in a movie where they then they jump back and forth to like 5 characters talking about shit at the same time, where it's like they're talking about the infiltration plan, the bad guy's talking about what he'll do and his like predictive nature or whatever, and then also the scene where he's actually going in there. And well, what I'm saying is we don't need to go through every fucking beat of it. We can just talk about it as a whole and not go through every moment. So he gets in and he's like, he's going to destroy the virus. I know he is. And that's exactly what he'll do. But what he doesn't know is that we're already going to be there waiting for him. And it all culminates into this moment where he does destroy the actual versions of the virus that exist in the lab. And there's one left in a gun, in like the injector gun that we see at the beginning of the movie that the doctor injects himself with.
Right.
Which is cool, and it adds tension to the scene because the bad guys want it. Ethan wants to destroy the virus, which I don't realize why he didn't just shoot the virus, but I guess it's because if he shot the virus, they would all just kill him. Like
I will say though, like as soon as his mission was to go in there and destroy everything, I was like, oh, one.
That wasn't his mission. That wasn't his mission. His mission was
it wasn't his mission. Okay, as soon as he starts doing that, I was like, oh, now the conceit is going to be one sample of this is going to exist. I did not call in my head that the female protagonist was going to jam it into her arm.
Like I mean, as soon as she walks out and picks it up, I'm like, she's going to inject herself. That's cool.
But initially you feel like it's going to be him that does it to himself.
Yeah. I thought so too, but I also thought that he would just destroy it. But again, like I said, like the reason that
someone has to be infected with it, and the 20 hours, like I figured Ethan Hunt injects himself and has 20 hours to solve it. But,
yeah, it is better that it's not him.
But then they fast forward through.
It's not that interesting.
Those hours.
Imagine him getting that knife in the eye, like having to stop a guy from getting the knife. He's like, I'm so weak, my dick's about to fall off, and like he's got the knife coming into his face.
Yeah, he's walking up. He's walking up from the beach like Senator Kelly.
It's Mitch McConnell.
And he falls and explodes into
goop.
Water goo. But he sets up a bomb on one of the incubator sites, and I'm going, what's that for? We find out. Well, we're going to find out. Before we continue with the last one, the gun crew, Ambrose and his goons show up, and we get an action sequence. And there's so much slow-mo, but also there's an interesting sequence where it keeps cutting back to Ving Rhames or Luther in his van. And I guess they put a bomb on his van at some point. I missed this when I was watching it.
Yeah,
but he sees it in the reflection,
the rearview window mirror. Yeah,
and he tries to jump out. And the reason I want to focus in on this is because John Woo does his classic, like it blows up, and Tom Cruise or the Australian guy looks all distraught. But since you don't see a body, obviously he's probably still alive, and he is. Spoilers. But
I don't know if that's a John Woo thing. I think that's just a movie thing.
Yeah, but you always say you've said that for Hard Boiled, and you said that for the Young.
I know, Dragon. And I think I said the same thing. I don't think it's a John Woo thing. I think it's just a movie thing.
You don't see the body. Matt, there's a really funny sequence when Tom Cruise is gunfighting with the cronies, and he slides across and does like a. And Madison walked in. My wife.
No, that is a John Woo thing.
Absolutely,
that's a John Woo thing.
Like nobody can slide like that. I digress. Madison walked into the room, and she goes, "Why is he doing blue steel? Like, why does he look like?" Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As he's sliding by, he's doing blue steel.
The thing is, John Woo loves two guns in one man's hands. He loves birds, and he loves he loves sliding, and he loves birds. And if he can combine all of those things into one thing, then he's going to do it. And he does do it often. Maybe this movie does rule. Wait, is this changing my mind?
I like this movie. Spoilers.
Yeah.
I recognize
this
that
movie
it's
is cool.
I mean, this whole sequence is cool. I do like this whole them fighting at the top of a skyscraper that's actually a secret laboratory for a virus that could destroy the entire world. Like, I think that's cool. All of that's cool.
The first Mission Impossible doesn't have a lot of gunplay in it, really.
No, it's more.
That's because
it's
it
more
wasn't
like
directed by John Woo.
espionage and less action.
It's subterfuge, espionage, and like just people.
It's like a spy movie, not like a James Bond spy movie.
There's one big action set piece segment, and that's like the last 15 minutes of the movie. The rest of it is like literal, like trying to figure. It's like a whodunit element to it too. There's literally a scene in the first one where he plays how the murders went down from 3 different points of view, which like this has none of that. This has fucking pigeons
Slow-mo.
and doves and
I mean, this is a series that we should probably do at some point. All the Mission Impossible, because like they are all kind of pretty different. Like the next one is more similar to the first one than this one, but they do change. Anyway, we should finish this sequence because like it does end in a crazy way as well, which is like they blow up the wall so he can escape out of the top floor of a fucking building.
Right. So they're trying to get to the last injection. Ambrose and Ethan have a chat. They're like Ethan is behind
all through mirrors, which is cool. Isn't it cool that they're talking through mirrors?
This isn't the last time in this movie they do things through mirrors, which is awesome. He gives him shit for killing the doctor, who already had like the virus inside him. And then
this is Ethan just telling the bad guy he's an idiot, being like, "You fucking dumbass! He thought he had both vials like in his uninsulated briefcase from like 1960. Like, no, he's just got like the room temperature. The thing that can heal you doesn't need to be refrigerated or kept heated. He has it in his body at what temperature? Body temperature. That's what he's
ruining the very pants you were to return. You fucking killed the guy you needed for all of this. Yeah. And then also Holly shows up. She's a hostage, and also Luther survived, as I already said. Ethan tries to convince Holly not to help. Ambrose says some gross shit about that. Basically, like,
her name's not Holly. What the fuck are you saying? Her last name is Hall.
Naya Hall.
Yeah.
Holly.
Her last name is Hall.
Yeah. Naya Hall. Right. But then
Ethan Hunt
is just scratching all the Y's out of his notes.
Super thief Holly.
Yeah.
Naya walks down to get the injector, and she ends up injecting herself with the virus, which was a huge moment.
Which is cool. I like this. I like that they added another, like, this is where they literally add a ticking clock element where he actually starts a stopwatch. It's like 20 years from now. Sorry, I went from minutes to years. Hours is what I meant.
20 hours later.
You'll die. And it's not that she'll die. She'll just start to die horribly after that and won't be able to be saved.
Yeah, it's not like Crank.
No.
Oh, yeah, it's just that.
It's reverse Crank, which is what they used to call me in high school.
Hey-o. They call him the stranger.
Yeah.
Real ones will get that. But during all of this, Ethan blows the bomb that was in the Petri dish lab, and there's more of a shooter out here. And there was a score swell that happened in this that now that I know that it's Hans Zimmer, fucking good shit. There was a moment we didn't talk about earlier where like Hans Zimmer wrote some wacky porno music when I think Naya and Ethan.
There's a lot of it, and I don't know if all of it is Hans Zimmer, but there's a lot of funky like porno style music in this movie.
What are you doing? Yeah.
Maybe Hans Zimmer, he's been around for a long time, and they're like, just do whatever you want. And he's like, I don't want to do a Mission Impossible, but if I am, then gotta
feel modern. It can't feel like James Bond. You know what we'll do?
Funky porno music from the 70s.
Yeah.
But basically, there's that moment too where like she's like, just fucking kill me, I'm dead already. But he like can't do it, so he throws a bomb and blows the wall out, and he jumps out. They get the girl. He does an action parachute moment. Ethan does, and then we get kind of like an act break into the final sort of.
Yeah, this is like the break between Act 2 and 3 for sure. This movie has very cleanly defined acts. Like it's one of those like this is a screenplay written by people who adhere to the rules of screenplay writing.
It said 2 people wrote this, and it's based off
The exact
something
moment.
else,
The exact
19
moment.
people wrote this movie.
The exact moment that it transitions from act 2 to 3 is when he does that weird backflip while skydiving out of the building. It's like if you look carefully, it says act 2 and it gets scratched out, and then when he flips, it says act 3. It's that was the one moment in the movie that I was like, what the fuck? Like he should be like, shouldn't he be really upset that he just left her to die and then he decided to just do a little flourish for who? Yeah. No one's watching him. He did that for himself. He's like,
he did that for the
stop right now. I just need to do a little flip to make myself feel better.
So over to Ambrose and Holly.
It's like a musical, right? It's so much emotion was being built up inside of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He jumped out and he's like, rock, rock, rock.
That was
a trolley.
Yeah, that was a purging.
Ding,
That was
ding,
like a cleansing backflip.
He's a new man afterwards. He's like, out with the bad, in with the good. Out with the bad, in with the good. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather.
Ambrose and Holly are together. Ambrose has the antidote. Then we get the Impossible Crew, which is now what I'm calling them.
Still,
they talk about Nia Hall. I don't know how I ended up on Holly, but Nia Hall.
I mean, it's funny, and if you keep going to Holly, we're gonna laugh every time. It'll be great.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. The Impossible Crew talk about rescuing her. Looks like this sequence when they show that like layer.
Also, the Impossible Crew. I don't know if I've ever heard it called that before, and I like that name a lot.
Thank you.
Like it sounds like you would run into them in like on the Sea of Thieves or something. It's the Impossible Crew.
Yeah, the Impossible Crew.
It's better than
we're gonna steal your booty.
Impossible Mission Foundation Federation Force.
Impossible Mission Force.
Yeah,
is what IMF is. My wife won't watch these movies because she says that the fact that they're called the Impossible Mission Force is too stupid.
I mean, it is pretty stupid.
Yeah. It is stupid, and I said, I'm like, listen, it's so stupid that they never say it. They never say it. Like it's just IMF. Like it's like I tried to say it's like how KFC isn't Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. It's just KFC.
Yeah, it's just KFC. It sounds cool. I gotta see. They were assassinated by KFC agents.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was
thinking KFC.
I was thinking something similar when I was looking at all the James Bond movies on Paramount, and I'm like, it's just called MI6.
Yeah.
Is James Bond gonna show up? But he probably doesn't. The island, speaking of James Bond, though, the island that they show had a weird forced perspective thing going on because they show the bottom of it and it's like it looks like a brutalist architecture, like it's implanted on an island. When they zoom up to the top, the guys looked too tall, and I know that's just like an optical illusion, but the top of it was like way smaller than what the bottom of it looked like. So I was like, why are the soldiers walking around on top so tall? Anyway, that's just my brain. Going around, they panned around to the back of the island. And
I don't want to embarrass you, Jason, but it's a peninsula.
Well, it is a peninsula, and now I'm embarrassed. But Ethan Hunt's climbing up. He climbs up on top.
And you know what? There's not supposed to be any firearms on that peninsula, as far as I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right.
It's against the rules.
It's a very James Bond like layer. And I think this villain is a very James Bond villain because he's got like he wants to like.
This is a very James Bond movie.
Stock market.
Everything about it is very James Bond.
He wants to crash the stock market with a virus, and his name's Ambrose.
And no red flags from IMF. Again, I know I keep going back to this, but it's like a cartoon villain, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna make this guy a spy. Let's make him look like our most trusted guy." Professionally,
same height, same accent. Wait, no, he's got a Scottish accent. Well, he'll work on the accent.
Yeah, just put the accent strip on him.
Yeah, it's not that hard to do a Tom Cruise accent, guys.
Yeah. My favorite was when Ambrose jumped on the seat of the plane and yelled, "I'm in love with Katy Perry," or Katie Holmes, not Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
I'm in love with Katie Holmes.
He kept fucking it up and saying Katy Perry over and over again. They're like, "It's Holmes, it's Holmes." And he's like, "Oh God,
homie."
elementary.
The first soldier that Ethan Hunt takes out on this island looked so much like James Marsden that I had to look it up, and obviously not him because James Marsden is literally in X-Men like this year or the next year.
I was thinking of John Marston, the character from Red Dead Redemption.
From Red Dead Redemption.
Looks like a video game character.
I get them confused in my head, but it wasn't. And
a lot of people have told me that I look like James Marsden.
From Buffy the
You got a bit of Marsden. You look like Tom Cruise.
Me?
I think you look.
Yep.
I think your chin
Steve,
is
you
more
look
Tom
like Tom
Cruise
Cruise.
than
When
it
he
is
was
James
rock
Marsden.
climbing, I had a note here that says Tom Cruise and Steve. I don't know
turn
if
your head
when
to the
you
side, like your picture.
listen, and this is not something that has always been true, Steve. This is not something that's always been true. But because you used to have like an extremely like long face. Like you had your head was like thinner, but as you get older and you're
out my head,
and your head as your head thickens. I watched Collateral a couple months ago, and a lot of times when he would turn a certain way, I'd be like, wow. I'm like, Steve, you look like Tom Cruise looks like Steve in this movie. So
he's a handsome man, so that's a compliment.
Yeah, no, it is a compliment. Yeah, I think there's times where Tom Cruise reminds me of you. You never remind me of Tom Cruise, but sometimes Tom Cruise reminds me.
It's because I refuse to do my own stunts. That's
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I could see a bit of Marsden for sure as well. But
I mean, it was more when I was in my like mid-20s is when I got the Marsden a lot.
When you had the cheeks back then.
And I used to wear the visor a lot.
Yeah. Used to shoot energy blasts out of your eyes.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But
there is the strength on this man.
I wrote a note here during this whole part where I said that this is just a Splinter Cell movie now, because he's basically just like he drops from the ceiling a bunch of times.
It also feels like Hitman. There's certain like the Hitman games, like in this movie. For sure. There are moments even before like at the track and stuff where I'm like, this is very Hitman-y, and I'm kind of digging it. And it made me sad that like they never really made like a good Hitman movie because they kept trying for a while there. I think they made like 2 or 3 of them, and they all suck. They're not good.
Timothy Oliphant was Agent 47 in one of them.
Yeah,
so weird to think about that.
It is. Yeah.
Agent 47 is supposed to have like the plainest face, and Timothy Oliphant has like a plain face if you consider he looks like 2 other guys, but he has like a pretty like distinct face. Like he looks like Timothy Oliphant.
I still think they should make a Hitman movie where he's like almost like a Jason Voorhees style villain, where like it focuses on
like the game, like the newer games where he's setting up these super elaborate.
No. You should focus on the characters that are being hunted by him. Like that should be the whole. Like the story is told by the people that are being assassinated by Agent 47, and he
keeps blending in the background, and you gotta like look out for him in the movie. That would be cool,
right? Wouldn't that be a cool, interesting movie?
And it's just like a janitor walks by, and then he kills the person that the movie's been following, and you realize
I just need to get something from one of the pockets. Like a weird man in the background. Yeah. You only ever see the back of his head. You never see his face or anything.
Yeah.
My next note here is, there's doves, but they're pigeons, as he takes out another guard. And in another room, the criminals are doing science. Ambrose wants more than money. He wants stock. He wants stock options.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's such an early
evil.
2000s thing. Yeah, it's like, I want to have controlling control of.
Yeah, it turns into like Dragon's Den.
To put it in perspective, my current job, when I got hired, they were like, "We're only going to give you this much money, but you'll get stocks." And I was like, "Fuck your stocks, give me more money."
They're like, "Well, we'll give you 3.0000001% of a percent," and you're like, "What does that mean?"
I got a cousin who got percentage of a company that she worked at really early, and they couldn't give her money, and they just kept giving her stock and stock and stock.
And then eventually she got a lot of money, or no?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. It's good if it's early and it does.
She was one of the first people she worked really early for Lululemon.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, that's one.
I can't say where I work because I don't want to
Yeah.
jinx it, but let's just say
He works for jinxit.com, guys.
Yeah.
I work for Microsoft.
Let's just say
in
if Mike's pager business, Mike's pager emporium takes off, then Jason's gonna be just fine.
How is Mike's Pager Emporium publicly traded?
I don't know.
How are the pigeons also doves? Because, well, we'll find out in a minute. Ambrose is going to do an outbreak.
28 days labor.
Actually,
that'll be the company.
pigeons
That
are also doves. They're the same species. It's the same bird. Just one is like white.
That's what I figured.
But like, what's the difference between a dove and a pigeon?
Whether it's white.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like one eats garbage and one blesses your soul every time it flies.
That's racist, Steve.
Oh shit.
I'm pretty sure doves also eat garbage.
Yeah, but they're pure.
Birdist.
Yeah.
One eats garbage, one eats escargot.
Yeah. One eats garbage.
Garbage. Yeah,
that's fucking great. Ambrose is going to do an outbreak if he doesn't get the money. He wants 51% of Biosite and the billions of dollars that'll come from the stock price rising from them creating a fault, like a fake.
Why would he want 51%? Like now you got to run the company.
Yeah.
He's
like,
why not just take?
He agreed to it. And he's like, "Holy shit, this is a lot of work."
Yeah,
fuck. It's called a hostile takeover. He starts threatening other people like with guns to their head and be like, "You're gonna run this company for me because I don't wanna."
Yeah,
I hate doing this.
Undercover boss, dude.
He comes in with a fake beard on. Being
Yeah.
Like, so what do you like about this company?
So, do you guys feel like you're paid fairly?
Middle managers show up because they need to know what to do, and he has like a mask of somebody else on so that they don't find him.
Well, I mean that's baked into Undercover Boss, so it works.
He's talking, and then like the thing on his neck malfunctions, and his weird Scottish accent comes through. He's like, "So what are you? I mean, excuse me, hold on, I've got to go take a wee. I'll be right back." Oh shit.
Like, Dave the janitor sounded weird.
New mask.
So Ethan Hunt is on a full Hong Kong cinnamon action man.
You said a Hong Kong cinnamon action man?
Hong Kong cinnamon action tip. Man.
Cinnamon.
That's what you said.
It sounded like you said Hong Kong cinnamon action man.
He's a Hong Kong cinnamon action man. What are you talking about?
John Woo staple.
Mission Impossible.
I have a note. I don't know. Is it from this scene? It falls chronologically as I'm taking notes at this point in the movie, but I don't remember why. But I wrote, "This is what's known as getting your gun off."
No, because he mentions he says that about.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what it is. So earlier in the movie, he says the difference between me and you in being spies is that I am there to solve the mission, but you're there to get your gun off, meaning he wants to shoot.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
And then
maybe I'm early then, or maybe
No, that's the thing that happened earlier where they like. I think it was during the standoff in like the lab or whatever. Gotcha. It's just like you just want to get your gun off. Like you have no interest in actually doing this. You're like a psychopath who likes shooting people.
Yeah.
Like, but I also like money.
Yeah. How about during all of this when Ethan Hunt does a flip kick and birds fly everywhere because John Woo directed this movie.
I don't know if you guys have seen Spoiled, but John Woo definitely throws birds at people during action scenes.
He's whipping like 10, like somehow holding 10 birds.
There's definitely like 4 or 5.
So an amateur magician, so he keeps all these birds around.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he wanted to do with his real career. He wanted to be a magician.
Also, that peninsula is like technically a bird sanctuary, so that's why they're all hanging out there.
And then he blows up a door with a pipe bomb, which is a really tense moment that doesn't need to be tense. He throws the pipe bomb, and then it's like,
no, it is tense because they're in the middle of like an intense moment where he's like, "You better sign these papers, they're gonna kill you," and then he throws it at the door so that it sounds like someone knocking, like ding ding, and then everyone's like, "Huh?" And then
I put it together from the other side where he waited to hear the footsteps of the guys walk towards the door. So
Yeah, they open the door a bit, don't they? And then he shoots.
They do,
with
yeah.
It's
He waits till the door opens, and he shoots it.
Yeah.
It is. I think it is an admirably good fucking tense moment. I think it was deserved of the.
It's
the
like
tension.
something you would do in Hitman. You'd throw a bomb and you'd wait till someone investigates the sound.
What was that? Oh, I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
Like a question mark over their head. Open the door. You're like,
how about the next thing that happens, which is one of the most insane things I've ever seen in a movie? The door blows out, right? And then Ambrose catches a glimpse of an actual dove now flying into the room while Ethan
just does like
a Zoolander
the
face
signs alien walk by and like.
But he also has like an aura around him, like an actual like aura around his whole body.
Yeah,
I laughed out loud at that.
Yeah, it's like Super Saiyan almost, and just like. Yeah,
my God, I think he's got Super Saiyan powers. Can't be certain. Go get him. And then they chase him through, and like everybody's running, and then he hides up in like
his levels over 9,000.
9,000. Yeah. Even like the things are like bleep 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 like in his head. But yeah, he hides it like a splinter cell. He hides up in the rafters.
Yeah.
But that fucking white dove / pigeon won't leave him alone. And I'm like, oh, is the pigeon going to give him away? And it does. But he does some sort of like extra sense movement where he like, he somehow knows the guy's coming, and he like prepares his kick before the guy even is around.
Right beyond sight, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
McCoy also agrees to the transfer, even though he's like, I will never give you half of my company. And he's like, how about this gun in your face?
Yeah.
And the explosion that just happened.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
He does give the money, though. He gives him the money.
30 million pounds.
Because Ethan goes like this. And then he goes, his first line in the whole movie, I think, is like, money's in there, chief, or something. He says something stupid like that. Like, whatever you say, boss, it's in there.
Yeah.
Wait, were you on the manifesto? No. Give me your babies. That's his whole part in Lost, I'm pretty sure.
Manifesto? I didn't know planes had manifestos.
Or what are they called? Manifests?
Manifest. A manifesto is when you like
when you like write down who you're gonna kill or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Who you're gonna kill. But there was all like he fights Hugh.
I almost called it a Mephisto, and I'm like, that can't be right. Yeah.
I like that when he's fighting Hugh, he was like, get your hands out, and he's like, okay, I'll get my hands out, and he pulls out a grenade, and then he pulls the pin, and then throws the grenade behind Hugh, and it blows up a bunch of toxic waste.
Hazardous waste.
I don't think it was toxic
labeled
waste.
hazard. It was labeled hazardous waste.
Oh,
that's what it said, printed on the side of this. Yeah.
But it's all gas containers. I guess it's like hazardous gas. Like, what the fuck does that even?
It doesn't matter.
And why is it stored there? And how do they get? What do they do with it?
And why wasn't it red?
Yeah, what the heck? It should have been red.
The off gas from the virus making or something.
Yeah, it's a virus juice.
Virus juice. This is the breath of everyone who died from the dick removal disease that we're making or whatever.
But yeah, it blows up the wall. The transfer is complete for the money. And you know what? Hugh comes in. He's got his man. He's got Ethan. It's all done. And the credits roll. And that's the end of the movie.
You couldn't in a million years guess what happens next.
Yeah. If you thought that Kung Fu fighting was cool, imagine doing it with motorcycle tires.
Oh, no. I meant the reveal that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. When Ambrose shoots Ethan, the protagonist, and you're like, wow.
Right. I do remember. Him. I remember as a child, even remember I told you like the masks fooled me a bunch. Even at this point, I like as a kid, like a 11-year-old or however old I was like, I think that's probably the other guy. That's probably the other guy.
Absolutely no question, even for a second, that it's not.
I know you guys already think I'm an idiot, but can I just read you my chain of thoughts that I wrote down here? They got Ethan and they start beating his ass. How the fuck is he going to get out of this? Oh, I see. Hunt mask on a soldier or something. On Hugh. What a twist. I legit didn't know.
Where's Holly?
Yeah, where's Ollie and all?
I'm sorry. It took me a second, and I know that I was like, surely, and then surely.
I think even as a kid, I was like, too many masks. Like
Well,
I'm suspecting everyone's in a mask.
Jason,
at all
I'm
times.
sorry that before you told us that, we said only a stupid idiot would fall for this. And Steve's like, even when I was a stupid child who hadn't formed their brain yet,
But
knew.
from my point of view, also, he shoots him in the knee, and I was like, how's he going to ride a motorcycle after that? Because I know about the motorcycle.
Yeah,
And
he
then they
shot
shoot
him,
him 4 times.
shot him in the leg, and then without even ever moving his mouth, he goes,
It's like, he can't talk right now. You know,
Yeah.
I broke his jaw.
I broke his jaw.
Yeah,
But then
it's a good thing that he had a Hugh mask and a mask of his own face to put on Hugh.
Yeah, he had 2.
Thank God.
Oh, remember I said he probably had 2. He had one of the main guy and one of the other guy. He probably had a third one just to feel like my own man. I gotta make sure I got one of myself.
Just in case I need to swap myself out.
Face.
Yeah.
In case he gets cut on the cheek.
I think
But
that what Sam said earlier about like the movies deciding that they're like, we're really gonna make the mask creation important to the plots of the movie. Like that's something that like never existed up until I think the third one, and because it is a cheap, easy thing to do, where it's like, well, now everyone's just wearing a mask. Well,
and the second one it's very flippant. They use it much better in the first one. I think they only do it twice, right? I think they like, or maybe
because it's like a big deal. But in this, they're like everybody's got a mask at all times. You can just have one.
Yeah.
Well, Ethan Hunt just runs out of there. He just runs away.
Jason, what are you doing?
What?
Teleport.
I don't know. It looked like you were like, going through dimensions.
You look like a dove.
Sometimes when I close it,
through dimensions.
No, I can't do it. It's like when you fart on a couch and you try to sit on the couch again and be like, I didn't fart.
What?
That's an old Mad TV sketch. Look it up.
Oh.
Anyway, when he gets out of the complex, the helicopter boys, the Mission Impossible crew, the Impossible
Ving
crew,
Rhames in Australian man,
and Kano,
yeah. I don't have my IMDb pulled up. I never learned his name. I don't think they say it. I called him Ozzy in my notes the whole time. He's basically trying to get onto the helicopter.
His name is Billy something.
Yeah, it is
Billy Kangaroos.
Yeah, he has like a name that's like, my name's Billy Bing Bong or whatever. Billy Bong, call me that.
Call me Billy Bong.
Yeah.
But as he's trying to get on the helicopter, a random crony comes out and starts like peppering the air with bullets. So the helicopter has to get out of there. They pivot, and there's action, shooting, and flipping. And now it's motorcycle time. John Woo cooking now was the next note that I wrote.
John Woo cooking now.
Billy Baird.
Yeah. Billy Baird?
Baird.
Billy Baird. A rocket launcher is introduced in all this. Luther has a rocket launcher, which is pretty sick. He's just blowing shit up ad nauseum. There's a crazy motorcycle jump, an exploding car, slow motion motorcycle riding. And I wrote, this works. I was into it, man. I don't care.
You're like, this seems impossible.
So I have a question for you guys. If you
basically
remember
kung fu with motorcycle.
Yeah,
it is.
I wrote this guy just drives the motorcycle past him for no reason, and then I'm like, 2 guys now, and then I wrote, quickly ride your motorcycle near him.
I was, that movie Equilibrium, where they come up with like the gunfighting form called gun kata or whatever.
Glavitron Clarence or whatever.
Yeah, where they shoot around corners.
I'm like, no, that's Wanted. The gun kata is way cooler than Wanted, but
way cooler,
much cooler. Yeah, we've never done that show or that movie on this show. We should do it, but I was trying to think of like a clever name for what the motorcycle equivalency would be for that, and I could not think of
motorcycle
a single thing. Yeah.
Motorcycle Jinsu?
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of something else but it's like, it's very almost Advent Children where they're like like crashing the bikes together.
Yeah, or like even the beginning of this movie where the two cars are like together or whatever and dancing. Sure. This is like supposed to be
they're like almost like jousting with motorcycles.
Well, I was going to say motorcycle jousting when we get to the final battle, but there's a scene here where he does like a front wheel like reverse wheelie and shoots, and he shoots a car in the gas tank in the butthole. You know, that's what the gas tank of the car is called, of course. And I'm pretty sure that, remember on Mythbusters, they did an episode where they're like, can you blow a car up by shooting it in the gas tank? They determined myth busted. I'm pretty sure they show a shot of this exact sequence in that episode. And that's just something that came to mind. And I think the thing that I remember from this movie the most, seeing it in other media, is him doing that move of like the front wheel reverse wheelie and then shooting.
It's called a stoppie, I think.
A stoppie. Yeah,
I think that is what it's called. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they call it in BMXing anyway.
When they stop on the front wheel and
yeah.
I've also seen like this video of a man who like was like training for gun safety or whatever, and he's like, it's pretty much impossible to blow up a car with or to light it on fire, and then he like shot it and the car lit on fire, and then afterwards he's like, what the heck? And he went up and like it turned out he like hit a specific thing that lit on fire and fell into the gasoline that was already there, and he's like, well, I mean, that was like a 1 in a million chance. Where you're like, but you did do it. Like in the video, you were trying to prove that it couldn't.
Yeah, you tried to intentionally do it and did it by accident.
Mythbusters was like a 45, and they were just like,
I know, but you can shoot a bullet into like an actual vat of gasoline and it won't fucking light on fire. But if you shoot a thing that's flammable and it sparks and lights and falls into the liquid that's flammable, then it's gonna light it on fire. Yeah.
So Ethan tells the helicopter boys to go to Holly.
Yep. Yeah. They go to they fly away, and we'll figure it out as we go. And then on the horse, he's like, I can't hear you, so just follow my tattoo stamp or my tramp stamp or whatever. He like throws it out because I assume he has one of those trackers inside of his butt as well, right? And
Ethan from Lost gets fucking just blown up.
Oh yeah, he does one of these. Like as like a truck hits him or something. Yeah. Me and
from a semi like just out of nowhere just comes through and just fucking.
Do you remember in like the old what are they called? The Mad Max movies, like the Mad Max 1 and 2, like anytime a character would like look and their eyes would like pop out of their head like go before they would get exploded.
I have a note here that says Ethan Hunt is the Road Warrior.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously we had a similar thought.
We were on the same level. Yeah, we were there. Yeah. Maybe not the exact same words to describe it, but yeah, it was that moment where they all like looked, and because they were all wearing sunglasses, you couldn't see their eyes pop out of their head as they did in Mad Max.
Exactly.
2. Yeah.
So we have the final battle with Ambrose now. They do a little bit of motorcycle jousting. The rear view mirror shooting was cool, where he's got his gun back and he's looking in the rearview mirror and like unloading.
That's how you know that Ethan Hunt probably gives himself a haircut sometimes, because he has to like hold the mirror to like precision
shoots.
Yeah.
And also we have Nia stumbling around at the edge of a cliff. She's obviously going to take her own life to, I don't know. I feel like if she jumps into that ocean, the whole world is going to get poisoned by the Chimera virus, though. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Yeah, like one lobster eats her, and then like all the eggs get poisoned.
Yeah, the whole clutch.
Yeah,
but
typhoid lobster.
I got lobster fever. Oh, jeez, my dick's gonna fall off in 29 days.
Planet of the Lobster. Why they snipped her crown off?
They called her Typhoid Mary early, like right after she injected herself too. Like, you really want to be Typhoid Mary? Anyway,
Maine and PEI were the first to go.
Yeah,
it felt like dominoes after that.
Yeah. Once it got into the lobsters.
Yeah, this movie is really rude to the one female character in it.
It's true, just endlessly just being misogynistic to her.
Are there any other women in this movie?
I mean, there are, but not really. Like you can't, not of note. Like they exist.
That's
there are females.
I don't mean like people in the background at the party or whatever.
No, there's no other woman characters in this movie
other than the ones that are like,
yeah,
at the beginning.
There's a segment in Seville where there's Spanish dancing, but they don't have any lines. They just speak with their hips.
Yeah.
No, now I'm doing it too.
They speak with their hips and not with stomps. Their lips.
Oh.
This movie is misogynistic and sexist.
But we do get that great crossover jump moment, which was cool, and then a straight up chicken situation where they both jump off their motorcycles and hug in the air.
Yeah.
Then they fist fight.
Very realistic.
And they fist bump. Yeah.
They fist fight. They fist bump. They fist fight. There's they do the gun just out of reach thing. Yep. They go fucking elbow deep in each other's butts. No, didn't have to say butts. You knew what I meant.
Yeah, we knew where they were fisting each other.
Yeah.
Ambrose gets a knife with the eye scene that we talked about a bunch. Happens. Ethan takes the knife. Now I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
When he throws the knife down at Ambrose's feet, was that like an honor thing? They got to finish this off fists?
Or what's the other option?
No, it was just like a made you look thing, I thought.
Oh, because he
kind of
like
a
thrown the knife into his head.
Yeah, but
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was like, I'm not going to kill you with this knife, as you're saying, Jason, but I think it's also what you're saying, Alex, which is like, made you look, now I'm coming at you, and we're gonna fight for real.
I did that in real life once to a guy.
Whoa.
I threw something in the air and he looked up at it and I tackled him.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's exactly the same, I would say.
What did you throw in the air, if you don't mind me asking?
We were fighting with sticks.
Oh.
And so we both had sticks, and so we were fighting with sticks, and he kind of broke my stick.
Okay.
And then so I had a half a stick. So then when we were like kind of throwing it, I threw my stick in the air, and then he looked up at it, and I tackled him. And he lost it. He lost the advantage of the intact stick.
Fool! Never look up during a bout.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true though, unless something's kept falling. But I mean, something was. So I don't know. That's funny. I only ever get punched in the face, and I'm like, oh, didn't see that coming. Had my hands in my pockets and everything.
Yeah.
It's because of my smart mouth, guys.
Yeah.
That's what have your hands in your pockets in a fist fight.
I wasn't in a fist fight.
He doesn't know he's in a fist fight until the other guy punches him in the face.
Yeah.
Well, and then at that point, it's long over.
I think that's what you call a sucker punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know it was coming. Anyway.
The helicopter crew finds Holly.
Helicopter.
Ambrose gets the gun, but Ethan drop kicks him like a straight up wrestling drop kick. They fight, and he knocks Ambrose out on a rock. As Ethan is about to administer the antidote, Ambrose pulls a gun from behind him. He's like,
he says, "But let me see those hands."
And one appears from the. Oh yeah, then he like looks down, and we get a very John Woo like the sand. The wind blows sand off the gun. And scenes of waves crashing.
Helicopter.
And you know, this whole time we keeps cutting back to Nia looking down at the crashing waves like she's gonna kill herself.
No,
and,
she's already been picked up.
Yeah,
I wrote she's twitching like a fish in the back.
If anything, she's like in the helicopter with her face against the glass, like, bring me the fucking antidote over here.
And she's like,
God,
going nuts. I got
16 minutes left.
Banana phone.
I have bring me the banana phone. I got a note here that says I've seen Steve in the back of an Uber doing the same spasming.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I've seen him on my couch doing that too.
Banana phone.
Ring, ring, ring. Hello, is this God? No, it's Rafi.
I got
the first time you came out. The first time you came out to my new place, and I was like, I went to bed, and I was like, "You go to bed." You were like, "No, I just got an Uber and went home." Anyway,
that's not me twitching on your couch. That's me being like, I'm uncomfortable in this place. I need to leave.
I'm talking about the part where we were making wrestlers in that wrestling game.
Yeah, I made a very convincing Mr. Freeze.
But
okay, we get it. You're talented.
Yeah.
Helicopter.
Anyway, he shoots him in that fucking chest or whatever. That was a cool moment because he like dives and like he uses like being parallel to the ground as cover. Which
I mean the kick, the sand kick,
yeah,
the gun coming up is the coolest part.
Yeah.
Like everything else is just like whatever. But like kicking a gun and having it fly directly up and you being like as sand is all around you, like that's fucking cool as hell.
Also, that place where they fight at the end kind of reminded me of the Young Dragons because they fight on that like kind of beach area.
They fight on an area near water.
Yeah. But anyway, they administer
that also happens in Hard Boiled.
Exactly.
And also at the end of Face Off. And also in every John Woo. Maybe you're right. Maybe John Woo's like, it has to end near some water. That's where we got to make this last fight.
Every final battle has to be near some water so somebody can potentially get knocked in or shot at. They administer the antidote. She's saved. He goes back to Anthony Hopkins. He didn't complete the mission as given.
No. Your
but
mission
they still
was to bring it back intact, Mr. Hunt. Why did you not do that?
Yeah. How'd you get rid of it?
Well, I mean, I accidentally turned the microwave on and fried it. I see.
Yeah.
Very good. Well,
fire is effective for.
Perhaps you should take a vacation, Mr. Hunt.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. I'll tell you where I'm going this time. No need. No need. We know where you are. Yep. You have all those trackers up your butt, remember? At least a few of them are still in there.
So many things up your butt that you don't know about. But I liked it that his record is expunged, I think, from the first movie or just in general. I don't even remember at the beginning of the movie.
No, he said that I thought her record was expunged.
Yeah. Oh, her record.
That was the whole deal.
She's like Catwoman.
She's wanted by like Interpol and all that shit.
MI6, perhaps?
I don't know. No, it's MI2, Jason.
Yeah. Also, he said at the end, Ethan says like, "Am I a sex, perhaps?" And she's like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah."
I never had Christmas in December or whatever. Christmas in
July.
Whatever. July, yeah, whatever it was.
But the end of the movie is them meeting up at a park for a bangcation. And that's the end of the movie Mission Impossible 2, starring Thomas Cruise. I think at this point we can go into our home alone of it all, our final thoughts, and our ratings. Oh, would it be funny if I had
If you had to pick one
what do you think the Home
when
Alone
is
of it
the
all?
Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone?
I really gotta know.
When is the Home Alone of it all?
What is the Home Alone of it all?
Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
Very good.
You catch the free Daniel Stern or what?
Yeah. So,
oh man,
the idea of the Home Alone of it all is, of course, every movie sort of has that moment you're there to see. In the movie The Home Alone, it's when Kevin McAllister sort of slaps on the blueprint.
That's the remake, the one coming out in 2028.
The Home Alone.
Home
Alone 7 is called the Home Alone. But it's we all wanted to see Kevin McAllister slap down the blueprint, get ready to set the house up for the invaders. And Stephen and I over the years have sort of posited that every movie sort of has that sequence. I think this one might have a couple, but in addition to that, we're looking for a final thought, and in addition to that, a rating if you have one. So, Slam Campbell, why don't you head it up and go first? Or freeze.
Let me see those hands.
Oh, is that what? Yeah. Of course, the stuff comes on as we get to me. The way I've always seen the Home Alone of it all is that it's the reason the movie exists. This scene is the reason that we've come to the movie in the first place, right?
Yep.
So I think the Home Alone of this one is the motorcycle jousting scene at the end, right? That's the whole point that the movie exists. This is the thing that John Woo wants to get to. It's like you got to see Ethan Hunt like fight Dougray Scott on a motorcycle. It's dope. It's wicked, and it's okay. Like I'm not super thrilled by it. In terms of my ratings and my final thoughts on it, I would like to give this 2 Mission Impossible 2s out of a possible 7 Mission Impossible films. This one sucks. This is the worst Mission Impossible movie by a good mile, and it's because it's trying so hard to be like that 2000s cool that as you said earlier, that after 9/11 the tone reshifted and it became so much less goofy and so much more like, no, let's take the mission seriously. Motorcycle, this is the kind of movie that a 13-year-old imagines and goes out and makes. It's like, yeah. And then he throws the Oakley glasses and they explode. And then he has sex with a girl, and then she's gonna die unless he's saved. And then some ska plays at the end.
This trombones though.
Yeah, Real Big Fish comes out and plays the Mission Impossible team.
The Cherry Poppin' Daddies Mission Impossible team.
Well, thanks, Sam. Please come back soon, of course. How about you, Alex?
I mean, I know it's the running theme of having me on here is that I like everything. Just as
Nobody got bisected.
Nobody got bisected, unfortunately. But that's okay. I mean, I liked it. It is definitely the worst Mission Impossible movie. It in maybe a saner world, it would have killed the franchise. Like that could have, it very, very easily could have been the last one. And I feel like they corrected the tone in all the subsequent ones to make it more like the first one, to make it, and it makes this one feel like a fever dream. But I mean, overall, I liked it. It was entertaining, at least. It was definitely, while I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this isn't a good movie, like from like a movie perspective, but I'm still having fun watching it, I would say.
I agree with that. Yeah.
My Home Alone of it all is probably when he goes through the bullshit vent, like the exhaust thing, and does the drop. It's as forced as it was. It is when he starts kind of doing more espionage-y shit in there. And as far as a rating, I don't have a super creative rating. I think I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna basically say that it is the Tokyo Drift of Mission Impossibles.
Yeah,
you know, wherein it's like the one that the most incongruent. And they both escalate to the point where the main guy is like basically in space, and you're like, "Whoa, this is a lot." And when you watch the first one, you're like, "This was a lot more grounded." But anyway, that's what I think.
Well, I thought you were done, and I usually try and time it like when I'm like, he's near the end of his thought, he's at the end, and I didn't know you had more left.
I thought I was at the end, and then I just thought I
thought more beyond.
Yeah, I thought more. Yeah.
For me, I don't disagree with anything that you guys have said. I don't really hate this movie at all, and I don't think I ever have. And even while I was watching it, I didn't. But at the same time, I think I did describe it to Jason as like a pile of bullshit that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I don't love it, but at the same time, I do love this kind of nonsense, and it does make me long for a simpler time when movies were, you know, like think about like The Mummy and like the stuff that really kind of like capped the end of the 90s, right? Like where they were figuring out CGI and they were figuring out excitement and like what do people like about music, and they had this formula going, and then like we all say the world became very dark, and then the color palette of every movie almost shifted into this like gray. Like you couldn't have a movie that was about serious espionage that wasn't gritty and dark, and like that didn't exist.
Or have like terrorists.
Exactly. And like it didn't really exist for almost multiple decades, I think, until like obviously the Austin Powers movies existed, but that's straight comedy, right?
Yeah.
But these movies were able to toe a line that you can still have a visual medium that is bright and nice and entertaining, but then it changed. And Christopher Nolan came in and he's like, everybody make your stuff look like mud. Everything has to look like mud, basically. You
or
can't
even
have anybody
like you get into like James Bond had to become like a brutal guy.
That's exactly what I mean.
Suave anymore. It was like he had to be like
he had to punch people as hard as he could.
Yeah.
And then I don't think it kind of became romanticized and glorified and pretty and glamoury again until like the Kingsman movies, which are not even that old, from the beginning to like the latest one. That sort of is bringing us back to what this movie was encapsulating, and the early James Bond movies were encapsulating. And even the James Bond movies haven't gone back in that direction. And I don't know if they ever will. Maybe once Daniel Craig is, I think, done with those movies, but we'll see. But I weirdly kind of like this movie, and I like the Chinese influence from John Woo, and like his sort of ideas of what an action movie is being paired with a franchise that already existed. And I do have this like imaginary world where like all of the movies were made by different people that have a very different vision for Mission Impossible, and let that ride. And that would be probably kind of cool, but probably not very profitable, and it would probably tank the series. But I do like the movie. I think it's okay, but I do also agree with you guys. It's probably the worst one. I think it's the worst one. It's not great, but I like it. I do like it. I didn't not enjoy myself. And I think this is one of those movies where you'll get more enjoyment out of it if you watch it with someone else, because you'll be laughing at like how ridiculous some of the ridiculous parts are, and actually scratching your ear and be like, what's going on here? Do you think that man's dick fell off on day 37, or is it just me? It's funny. If I had to give this movie a rate, I didn't do my Home Alone. No, my Home Alone is like immediately when he pulls his mask off. I'm like, they're already doing a mask pull. The movie just started. And then when they do the next one, I'm like, it hasn't even been 15 minutes since the last mask pull. And then another one happens. I'm like, what the fuck? There's so many mask pulls in this movie. So they keep doing it. I'm like, so this movie is actually just about mask pulls. The whole thing is mask pulls. Even the last thing that blows your mind in the movie, which really didn't, even as like I said, a child, I'm like, let me guess, another mask pull. Like, okay, here we go. Yeah. Like a 12-year-old me, I'm like smoking a cigarette in the theater. It's probably going to be another mask pull. And it was. So I think for me, I'm going to give this movie a guy giving you like a very meaningful speech right into your eyes. Jason, Alex, Sam, all of you. Imagine me telling you something that you really need to hear. And then I go, and then it gets stuck. It's like I'm like half pulling a mask off, and I'm like, hold on, I can't get it off. It's stuck. And then I pull it off, and then I'm still doing the voice of the other person being like, so you're actually my grandson. Oh, hold on. You're my grandson, and I'm your grandfather.
There you go. It's quite a complicated rating.
Yeah.
Grandpa, you sound so young.
But I mean, so is the plot of this movie, right? Overly complicated for no reason.
Well, thank you, Stephen. That was insightful. That was good stuff. My Home Alone of it all is also the motorcycle sequence, and it's because of you, Steve, that it was, because the first thing you said to me about this movie was, it's the motorcycle one or something, and I was like,
it is.
Man, it is the
M in MI2 stands for motorcycle.
Yeah. And I was waiting the whole time, right down to when I got tricked by the fucking mask pull again. I was like, how's it gonna ride a motorcycle? But that whole sequence was great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was into it. That's why I wrote John Woo cooking, because he cooks so hard during those action sequences. For Final Thoughts, it's like it's an extension of that. Like, John Woo cooked when he was allowed to cook, and then sometimes I was going, this doesn't feel like a John Woo movie because it's a Mission Impossible. It feels like marred by the studio wanting one thing and John Woo trying to fit in his vision in other places. So I think it is sort of our escape from LA. It's sort of his escape from LA, because we are doing like another spotlight month. And I don't know if any other movie is going to be sort of worse than this one, but I agree with you, Stephen. Like, it's still like a fun movie. It's not good by any stretch,
No,
but it was an enjoyable watch.
I wouldn't tell people not to watch it. It's not that
exactly. I can actually recommend this movie because of how ridiculous it is. Seeing Tom Cruise, knowing what I know about John Woo and his love for birds and doves specifically, and then he does most of his dove stuff with pigeons. That sort of is a metaphor for what this movie
but also
is.
like knowing how much Tom Cruise was involved in the filmmaking of this movie, and Tom Cruise allowing that like whole thing with the dove at the end, like that Tom Cruise was probably like down. He's like, of course, yes, of course, this will be brilliant. Like the dove comes out, and then I come out. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I do give this movie like a 3-ish out of 5, probably like a 2.8. But in the eye of the beholder, in a fun world, I give this movie a fucking 5 out of 5 for like just being like not afraid to be what it's going to be, start to finish. Like it's got a style, it's unapologetic in what it is. But it is not the first movie, and I haven't seen 3 and beyond, but it is not the first movie. And if I was to give this movie a rating, I would give it a single dove out of 10,000 pigeons.
Whoa. But I mean, that's a very insightful and good. You know what? I like that
rating. I think
it's
something
like 10,000 pigeons, and all you need is a dove.
Jason, when you said a couple things that just sparked something that I thought, and that is, I would recommend this movie as if someone wants to just watch a movie, I would recommend it. But if I was trying to convince someone to watch Mission Impossible as a series, I would say skip 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because it seems like even from just
like
the trailers, tonally, all of the rest of them are kind of in line with each other.
Yeah.
And
it's literally like it feels almost like non-canon.
But yeah. That's why I'm saying like it kind of feels like John Woo's Escape from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I think we're all right. Every single one of us.
I think we're all right. Yeah.
We did good work here today, friends. Should we go into our plugs and then go and all simultaneously masturbate to this movie?
Oh.
All right, let me just plug this in right here and.
Plugs. Sam, what do you got going on, brother?
Oh, is he
Is that the load?
Am I back?
Yep. There you're back.
Am I here? Am I live? Can you guys see me?
We can hear you. We can see
Yeah,
you, sort
we
of.
can hear you.
My plugs are don't get electrocuted. And I'm on a massive delay too, so I can hear you guys responding to me, but you guys can't hear me responding to you until many later. My plugs follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky at all of the same handles. I am at Slam Campbell, Campbell spelt the soup way, and you can listen every week to my podcast, Is It Camp, a podcast where me and another queer sit down and we discuss movies, TV shows, books, whatever we want to talk about that week, and ask, is this camp? Is it camp? Right? Because people throw around that term too much and they have no idea what they're actually talking about. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Log in and watch my wrestling matches at Superkicked. Sometimes I interact with Jason. And actually now it wouldn't be with the same voice anyway. I'll be doing an English accent. And instead, I'll be talking about how I'm going to be stripping you of your fucking face, you something like that.
Whoa. Well, thank you, Sam. I love you, brother, and I'll see you in person in 1 week's time. Alex, do you have anything that you want to promote this week? You got a lot of things cooking.
Not really. I'm just here. I'm here for the love of the game, brother. That's about it. I hope people enjoy my fun little TV thing because
it's so good, Alex. I love that shit so much.
The amount of cordage you need to I literally, Steve, I have to hook my computer up to this, which is like an RF broadcaster, and then the TV picks it up. Like I set this thing.
Really? Oh my god!
And then I
so
put
crazy.
the TV on channel 4, and this broadcast channel 4. Like literally, that's the extent of what it took to make that.
But okay, so now the image behind you makes way more sense. That's literally like you're like, I am the one in your background.
Oh yeah.
You are like the Matrix, man.
Yeah.
Even though I know that's supposed to be Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Tom Cruise with the Oakleys, yeah.
Yeah.
But
honestly, that picture at first, like when I first saw it, I'm like, is that the guy from Grandma's Boy? Being like, I am a bird or whatever. And now it kind of more is. It is more.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, yeah. No, I got nothing to plug. Just just happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you're welcome back anytime. The both of you are. Steven, what do you got cooking on the back burner, brother?
Oh, me.
A lot cooking.
Well, yeah, I've got a lot.
Chef.
I'm Chef Boyardee. Blair. I have been doing more stuff for the Sonar Network. Stanland, if you guys haven't checked it out already, you should. It's very funny. I played a couple of characters in that, and there's a few spin-off series from that as well that I play a lot of characters in, which is cool, fun. You should check it out. I do a lot of funny voices. But I also have another one coming out called Randy, and that's going to be dropped, I believe, in February. I've been working on a trailer for it. I don't know if I'm allowed to play it. I wonder, should I just do it anyway? Should I just
Fuck it.
All right, I'll play the 30-second version. Is that okay?
Absolutely, it's fine with me. I'm always excited to see what's next for
All
Sonar Network.
The show is called Randy. It's basically, it's similar to Stanland in the way that it's like supposed to be found, like a found footage podcast, basically like a weirdo made his own autobiography of himself. And I've been editing it, and it was recorded like 10 years ago, but it's made from the same person. And anyway,
from Mike Sachs, the twisted mind behind Stanland.
A friend of mine in Poolsville has one. Randy, he has one of those wall-mounted cereal dispensers too. 6 different shoots.
He's an 11-part audio biography starring Dave Willis.
9/11 was a conspiracy. That's clear. Charlie Sheen talks about this.
Randy, the full and complete audio memoir of the amazing life and times of Randy S. Tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's the wrong one. I played the wrong one, but whatever.
A good conspiracy.
Yeah. So that's the next thing, and then obviously I'm the voice of Darth Theorist and the 3-Eyed Theorist, and I tell stories on those 2 channels. And we have a 3rd channel coming, but we also have something that may be interesting to our viewers, which is that we're going to do a little bit of a marriage between the Theorist Network and this channel soon. So keep your ears peeled and your eyes to the pavement or whatever.
Yeah, that's the saying.
Yeah.
February is going to be transformative for this channel. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Steve?
No, I think that's it for now.
Well, you can find me, Jason R. Phillips, as the voice of Super Kicked Wrestling. I work with Slam Campbell. I've announced Slam Campbell to the ring many times in various iterations of his characters. But this coming Friday, not this coming Friday, but next Friday, Super Kicked presents Super Kicked Envy. And look who's on this poster. You may recognize them from such podcasts as Hey, Did You See This One? It's going to be a big show. January 23rd, right here in Toronto, at the Great Hall. Look for tickets at superkick.ca. Look for tickets, I think, on Group Find. What's that site where you can get tickets?
Grinder.
Okay. Yep. Look for us on Grinder. You can also find this very podcast each and every week right here on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube at Superkicked at Hey, Did You See This One at 8 p.m. each and every week at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have lots of stuff coming up this year. Next month is going to be, like I said, transformative. But in addition to all that, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you may see at the bottom we have merchandise. You can get all of our merchandise on socks, shirts, mugs through TeePublic and Redbubble. If you look up Hey, Did You See This One? And you can get things like this. You can get Corporal Tunnel Syndrome. He could be on your socks. You can get the Howie Mandela effect. He could be on your shirt. You can get the Grimoire Familiar Killers themselves on a mug. You get the Eldritch Millennial on a dog mat if you want to have it that bad.
Do you have dog mats? Maybe.
You have dog mats.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Do you want Kill 8 on an apron? Well, by golly, get after it. And also Twinkerbell exists.
Twinkerbell socks, dude.
Yeah.
Twinkerbell socks. Think about it.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say I found the better trailer. Can I play that? Is that okay?
Just give me 2 seconds here.
Okay.
All of these are illustrated by our very own Stephen Waters.
I drew all those guys.
He's very talented.
Also, Twinkerbell, that's just me. I drew that from a picture of me when I was a Twinkerbell, so it's fine. It's not rude or anything.
It's not rude.
And look at all of our channels, because once in a while we have our 24-hour stream available. We've been doing a 24/7 stream. I kind of ended it because it wasn't garnering any views after I pulled at the teat, the milky teat of the internet. But it does go up once in a while. You can find that on our channel at Hey, Did You See This One? And before we get out of here, Steven, why don't you hit us with that trailer?
Before Stan Little visited the once magical world of Šerbedžija, as depicted in the Sonar comedy series Stanland, there existed yet another mediocre man from Poolsville, Maryland. Stan's friend and neighbor, Randy Stinson.
A friend of mine in Poolsville has one. Randy, he has one of those wall-mounted cereal dispensers, too. 6 different shoots.
From Mike Sachs, the twisted mind behind Stanland, comes another story about the adventures of an egomaniacal loser who thinks the world of himself.
I invented a ton of stuff. Flavored sex lubrication. All of the flavors the girls love. Barbecue, peppermint, hot spice, tropical breeze, chocolatini, you name it.
Randy is the story of a self-described, outside-the-box thinker. Someone filled with ideas that are, let's just say, a bit unique.
9/11 was a conspiracy. You know, created by the news organizations to have something to talk about. That's clear. Charlie Sheen talks about this. Adam and Eve were both sent to Earth from outer space.
Randy is a man perhaps not nearly as charming as he might consider himself. And also a man probably not as good in bed as he tends to tell anyone within earshot.
She lets me twist her nipples as if I'm drawing an Etch-a-Sketch. She knows when to talk and when to shut her yapper. She understands, at times, that I can get lazy. And when that happens, she doesn't grow upset. She only knows it's time to take care of herself.
So when Randy came into some money a few years back, he naturally spent it all on hiring a biographer to preserve his very special legacy. This would be Noah Byrne, a recent University of Maryland graduate.
My name is Noah Byrne. 2 weeks ago, I responded to an online ad for an audio production project. This person to my left is Randy Stinson, my arts patron. It is my job over the next year to capture the genius of Randy on audio. I imagine there will be tons of adventures. What you are about to hear is Randy's incredible story.
Randy, the full and complete audio memoir of the amazing life and times of Randy S. is an 11-part autobiography starring Dave Willis from Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Archer as Randy Stinson, coming to the Sonar Network this February. Tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Well, that sounds fantastic.
It's going to be fun. It's funny. I had to go through all of it, every single episode, and I was like marking things being like, this joke seems a little outdated. 10 years ago it might have been funny, but now it's like, yikes.
Great. But there is one question that needs to be asked each and every week, and since our guests have to do it, you guys got to do it at the same time. So I'm going to count backwards from 3, 3, 2, 1.
Oh no!
Hey, did you
I'm
see
trying
this
to do
one?
it right now.
Oh God!
Hey, did you see this one?
You should.
I like that outro a lot.
Well, I've been cooking.
I didn't care too much for the intro, but that outro fucking rules. That's nice. And it may be because I drank 4 ciders during that episode, but who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Listen, a lot of people talk about a lot of things that I'm always saying, and everybody's always talking about it.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And take a peek into the darkness with Heard Noise, Must Investigate with Michael Chan. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.